What up, y'all?
Welcome back, Weedy.
What up, man? Let me know if you in here. We got another one. Again! So, we addressed the elephant in the room. If you haven't seen one of my last videos, I don't know which one was. I think it was the last one. I'm changing. The background. We gonna fix that. That's gonna happen over time. I'm not good at interior design and shit like that, so I don't know how I want it to look exactly. But y'all let me know if this angle is better. I think I want to start doing front-facing videos, you know, the way I had my setup whenever I wanted to do commentary videos. Like, the way I had to situate myself at the desk and whatnot, the angle is too much. I wasn't too keen on the angle in regards to what it looked like in the background. So y'all let me know, do y'all think this is better? Do y'all prefer the angle? You know, I'm trying something new, trying to see what works for me and everybody else. You know, if the angle is preferable, and, you know, don't just say you like it because you're used to it, but is it actually better? I would really like to know. Give me the feedback if this is better or not. But this is kind of an impromptu stream because I saw Piers post that he has a panel about Shiloh Hendrix. And the funny thing about that was I was going to do a reaction to Matt Walsh speaking on Shiloh. I still might, depending on how quick we get through this panel Piers doing on Shiloh. And funny enough, he put Myron of all people on it. And Mark Lamont Hill, one of my favorite people on there. I love Mark Lamont Hill. Pod of the year, indefinitely. Mark Lamont Hill is gonna be, Potter of the year, Potter of the month over there at the Joe Budden podcast. Like, I don't see nobody taking Potter of the month from Mark anytime soon. But he on there, he always cooking niggas. Myron is on there, which I think that should be very, very, very interesting to see Myron on here with Mark Lamont Hill. And apparently Piers also is talking to the founder of Give, Send, Go, who is hosting the fundraiser for Shiloh. I don't know what Piers is going to ask him. Yeah, this should be pretty fucking interesting. I really want to see what transpires in this panel. But we ain't gonna waste no time, man. Let's get to it.
The way things are going, you're going to make a millionaire out of a woman who racially abused a child.
Did you call the child word? It is my own business. You call him a
What you're advocating for, it seems, is that for the rest of Shiloh's life, she should be canceled and silenced rather than try to bring some redemption into the situation.
If you call black people the N-word and racially abuse them, unfortunately, yes, it has consequences.
Everyone's flipping out over Shiloh Hendricks and saying the N-word. Nobody flipped out like this when the United States was getting destroyed in 2020 because of black protests destroying every liberal city in America. So I don't want to hear about, oh, she made $100,000 because she said the N-word. Who cares?
I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what
He got her on there. Yo, this the white girl that said the N-word, and some people praised her and some people hated her. I think she was the one that was like, me and my girls don't want to date any of these broke-ass niggas. That's her.
they want unashamedly, and you will
Well, go
not
on then,
have
say
to-
it. Say the N-word.
Go on and say it.
No.
Yeah,
no,
Pierce,
she's
he
a
go
black
there.
woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it.
Two
He
recent
said,
stories
go ahead,
in the
say it.
US
Damn, Pierce, you got the 240p going on, man. I mean, Pierce, Mark
racial division
got the 240p camera. That's not going to help.
in American society, amplified by extreme and viral takes
said, go
on
ahead,
social
say it.
media. 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony is a black teenager charged with stabbing a white boy to death at a school track
boy.
meeting in April. More than $600,000 in donations have poured in, not for
That in itself is because this is a legal proceeding. He deserves the right to defend himself, and people want to support that right. We don't know if he's committed murder or self-defense. We don't know if it was self-defense or murder. So there's everybody want to pretend like they know what happened. We don't know yet. Like, even the police report, there's room for interpretation on both ends. So he can defend himself. People are sending this white woman money for calling a boy the N-word. What the hell are we talking about?
the victim's grieving
It's
family.
not a crime, for one. It's just a fucked up thing to do, but people are sending her money for that. These two things aren't comparable. Kyle Rittenhouse had the right to defend himself. Carmelo has the right to defend himself. George Zimmerman had a right to defend himself. As much as I disagree with that outcome, he had a right to defend himself. But come on.
Family, but for his alleged killer. Last week, Shiloh Hendricks went viral after a video showed the young mother racially abusing a 5-year-old, allegedly for stealing from her young child.
call him a child?
The fuck you talking
Did you
about?
call the child word?
None of your fucking business.
It is my own business. You call him a Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again?
Fuck you.
All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's shit, you dumb fuck.
Nobody dig into your shit.
A little fucking kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him the little.
How heartless can you be to, if I saw a 5-year-old child digging through my stuff, I'll be like, hey, this isn't yours, stop. Can you go with your parents? Or I'll let the parents know, like, your child was digging through my stuff. Why the fuck do you feel like you have to call a 5-year-old the N-word? Are you kidding me?
A child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old.
Well, as you can see, Hendricks doesn't
It's
deny
extremely
using the slur.
bizarre.
In fact, she repeats it many times. That's all the stuff that's bleeped out. When a bystander in the park follows her with his smartphone. Hendricks set up a fundraiser on the same website as Carmelo Anthony's supporters, on which she wrote, I called the kid out for what he was. Incredibly, that campaign has now raised more money than the first one, surpassing $655,000 at the time of taping the show. Well, the boss of the website, Give, Send, Go, is accused of facilitating
miss nothing,
brazen
bro.
racism
He just
on a
introducing the
platform
story.
whose
You ain't miss
motto is
nothing.
money is temporary, Jesus is eternal. He will join me later. Liberals say this is exactly what they've been warning about, that the post-BLM backlash and the crushing of DEI has provided a fig leaf for outright bigotry. Conservatives were similarly outraged by the support for Carmelo Anthony. an alleged murderer who's been glorified by some as a victim of a racist system. We're here to debate all this is the host of the Fresh and Fit podcast, Myron Gaines, the host of Night School on YouTube, Mark Lamont Hill, Lily Gaddis, a social media commentator whose video defense of the N-word mother has so far been viewed millions of times on X, and the New York Post columnist and author Ricky Schlott. Well, welcome to all of you. Ricky, look, my take on this is a stain on all their houses, right? I just don't know what is happening to society when you have such vast sums of money being raised for what seems to me to be deliberate, racially charged, motivational reasons. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're fighting ugly with ugly right now, and I think this level of racial tribalism and hostility is just simply not sustainable in such a diverse democracy like America. I think it's, one is really a reaction to the other. I think both campaigns are really hideous, and I think we're showing our ugliest colors. I mean, in the scheme of things, these are small sums relative to the population of America.
I hope she ain't saying Carmelo's campaign is ugly. Because the boy is being accused of murder, and if his defense is self-defense, he has that right. Like, can we not act like, yes, bro, she's the one that said broke ass niggas. Yeah, that's her.
But you do see, I think, a really tremendous explosion of ugliness and racial hostility that I think that we should all be ashamed and embarrassed of.
Yeah, I mean, you described it, I think, in one of your posts as genuinely, is this a psyop? This would be the best $1 million invested by a foreign adversary to start a race war in America. And I knew exactly what you're getting at, because many of the comments, I think the comments have now been suspended, actually, on both of these funding pages, because people were quite obviously deliberately misusing them to post race baiting commentary.
Absolutely. I mean, if you go through some of the comments on either of them, you have White Lives Matter on one side, and like suggestions that the teenage boy who was stabbed was somehow like a manifestation of white supremacy, and it seems to be just
yeah, I don't like how black people are trying to just automatically make him wrong. I don't like that. It's just black people. Like I said, when you go to race as your strongest argument, it just hurts the cause when there's a stronger argument that can be made. The Carmelo and Austin thing doesn't have to revolve around race first, especially if you want to defend Carmelo. It's probable that that situation was self-defense. Just say that. Don't say this is about white supremacy and white people are always you don't want Carmelo to win solely because he's black. You don't want him to win because he can get away with the kill. Like some people are still harping on Kyle Rittenhouse, not understanding that Kyle Rittenhouse had a pretty clear case of self-defense. Like, if that wasn't self-defense, I don't know what is. So stop. People are hanging their hats on that. They're not. Trayvon is more obscure because we couldn't see anything. But I still think that was wrong just because of how it played out. But with this, we don't know enough to say if Carmelo aggressed too far or he's defended himself. But he has a right to defend himself. And if they're going to claim self-defense, he has the right to do that in court. Don't just assume because he's black and you want him to win that he's in the right.
Fight at a track meet that has nothing to do with racial hostility in the first place. And
what? Are you serious, bro? Dead ass? What?
Of this young man who died.
I think she got a mixed kid, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't make this into a racial issue. And yet, on his own Give, Send, Go campaign, there are comments after comment saying this is White Lives Matter. We're avenging against Carmelo Anthony's family. I mean, on all ends, this is ugly. I think that it's really co-opting the charity and giving community. I mean, I feel bad for the fundraising platforms because I don't think this was the intention originally. But unfortunately, I think that people are really starting to take over good intents and the charity industrial complex to make it into a victim industrial complex. And it's really sad to see.
Well, we're going to have one of the founders of the Give, Send, Go site a little later in the program. But Mark Lamont Hill, you were shaking your head there. I mean, what's your take on this?
There are a couple of things that were said that I think are really interesting and important. One, there is an outside audience of people who are watching all of this and opportunistically using it for their own agendas and projects. You know, I have an investment in believing X, so I'm going to jump in the comments of this GoFundMe, etc. I have an investment in Y. I'm going to do the same thing. But what I don't want to do is compare these two things as if they're opposite sides of the same coin. For me, the intention of the campaign matters. In the case of this woman who is using the N-word, the woman isn't disputing using the N-word. The woman isn't disputing being racist. And the comments that are being left on the site before they were suspended and the attitudes behind it weren't saying she's being railroaded, she's being misrepresented. They were simply saying, we support racism. And I think that's disgusting, no matter who's doing it. On the other hand, the people who are fundraising for Carmelo Anthony, the argument here isn't, yeah, we did something and we don't care like the other woman. The argument is we're being misrepresented here. We're being railroaded. This was a self-defense claim. This is not an act of violence. This isn't first-degree murder. I'm saying what they're saying. This isn't my argument. They're saying this is a first-degree murder claim that is wrong. This is actually self-defense, and we need the money to make sure that we get a fair trial. I think
Piers don't care about intelligence. Myron is gonna get clicks. That's why he has people like Dave Rubin and Dave Smith on there. He don't care about no intelligence. He just want people that are personalities.
So whether you agree with his argument or not, I think raising money for a fair trial is different than raising money for a racist.
Thank you. That's exactly what I said. I'm like, motherfucker, Carmelo is just to get a fucking trial. That's totally different. People have the right to defend themselves. Like, come on.
I mean, I think the common theme between the two, and this is not to pass any view about it at this stage, although I have strong views about it. I guess the common theme is that both of them say that as a result of all the publicity, they've been doxxed.
And I like Trayvon case bothers me so much to this day. That's one of them cases where I feel like something needs to be revised with that stand your ground law. I don't know how. Just like we was talking about earlier, bro, some shit just got to be revisited. Because I know he got off because of stand your ground, but the way that situation played out is fucked up to me. Like, that's Trayvon case is one of the ones that really bothered me in my lifetime.
Had all their personal
Jaguar. Hey, Knuckles, I know you new here. Appreciate you for coming through the stream. I see you just comment on the video. I think you new here. I have a video about it did fairly decent where I covered the Jaguar White interview.
Social media, which is, of course, the modern scourge which gets involved. And as a result, they've had death threats and they have security issues and they have to move home and so on. You know, I understand that part of the argument. You know, when you're at the center of a firestorm in America and you're not used to public attention, then the levels of intimidation, threats and so on that can come your way can be extremely intimidating, if not outright dangerous. So it's different really to taking a view about either of the cases to simply say that the commonality is that they both, I think, have said in defending the amounts that have been raised is, well, we have to defend ourselves.
That woman is not defending herself from anything. She was just racist and is not denying the fact that she was racist. What are we talking about, Piers?
You're putting it through the courts, but also in his case, the alleged killer, that he has also, I think, had direct threats against him. And in the case of the mother using the M-word in that despicable manner, she has said she's had a lot of threats too.
My quick response to that would just be, let's assume everybody's telling the truth. Let's assume she's telling the truth, and let's assume he's telling the truth. If he's telling the truth and he was doing self-defense and he's getting harassed and doxxed, and of course we already know lies have been told about his GoFundMe campaign saying they were spending it on mansions and cars, all the kind of racist tropes. If that's true, he's being mistreated, and I think that's a sort of very easy case to make. When it comes to her, however, let's assume she's also telling the truth, that she used the word, she thinks the kid was acting like one. She feels like she has the right to use that word against that small baby because of whatever age-appropriate thing the kid did. If she's telling the truth and she's getting doxxed and harassed, I don't know if I want to reward her behavior with $500,000.
Exactly.
I think she should be doxxed.
Like, can y'all fathom what this tells the world? I think this is the same argument people make for Trump, where people be like, you vote, you get found liable for sexually abusing somebody, you get to become president. You get to be racist towards a 5-year-old child and get almost $1 million. What messages is we sending now? That's what we're talking about here.
I don't think she should be harassed. I think she has been mistreated to the extent that no one should be. You have a right to be racist. You have a right to free speech in this country. But I'm not donating money for it, and I feel a lot worse about her GoFundMe than the one for the person who's been railroaded.
Yeah. Well, Lily Gaddis, you posted a defense of Shiloh on X. It's been viewed 2.5 million times, in which it was entitled, "White People Are Finally Fighting Back. Stand with Shiloh Hendricks." What did you mean by that? Tax day has passed, but for millions of Americans, that's where the trouble begins. The IRS is now ramping up enforcement for those who misgave
now,
the
like,
deadline or still
you literally,
owe back
you're
taxes.
fucking famous now because you getting like
levies.
her like literally she got to be racist and now her life is. I'm not gonna say it's gonna improve fully, but she getting all this money and it's gonna be hers. They're not gonna take it from her and give and go. And all she did was be racist, and now she's like, quote unquote, famous and has way more money than she had before. Like, come on, what are we talking about, bro?
Make the next move, not the IRS.
Here's the thing,
Yeah,
white
Knuckles,
people
that
have been
was a
under
video.
attack for
That
years.
was a video.
It's been systematic racism. As much as black people and people of color want to talk about systematic racism in the United States, it's quite the opposite. They get preferential treatment when it comes to getting United. Systematic racism, as much as black people and people of color want to talk about systematic racism in the United States, it's quite the opposite. They get preferential treatment when it comes to getting a job, when it comes to getting into colleges. White people, on the other hand, have been getting attacked relentlessly. Look at 2016 and BLM and all the riots. We just had to sit back and watch people burn down our cities and do nothing about it. So the way to fight back against
I do think there's a level of truth to being racist against white people is becoming more acceptable. I do think that there's a level of truth to that. And I don't like it. I think black people can be racist, and I don't like the fact that they feel like they can be racist without any and I'm guilty of it too sometimes, like some of the jokes we make about white people and stuff like that. But I can take a good joke that's not coming from a mean place. I don't care about black jokes that are good that aren't coming from somewhere malicious. I don't care. So jokes is different. But I don't like this idea of pretending like in general that they're getting the short end of the stick where it matters. You know, I like you getting DEI, blah, blah, blah. They're not taking your spot. You just have to compete with more people now. Like, I'll say it right here. As I learned what affirmative action was and what the outcomes of affirmative action was, I disagreed with it, which is why it got rescinded. I'm not mad at the fact that they took away affirmative action. I don't think affirmative action did what its intention was. It had good intentions, but it didn't work out, which is why they got rid of it. DEI, I think, is what should be in place of affirmative action, which I think is good. You know, if you want to relabel all these things or whatever, I don't care. But the implementation of what DEI is supposed to be is actually what is a merit-based system. You're expanding your pool of people that you can pull from to give them a fair shot. It's not about putting people in places that they wouldn't have got, that they can't handle being in, which affirmative action showed that all you did was put black people in school for them to fail because they weren't prepared, versus pulling people from all walks of life in all different places that can be in these spots but would be overlooked in any other circumstance. That's the difference between affirmative action and DEI.
Against essentially this anti-white hatred that's been systemically, ingrained in U.S. society is with white unity. We don't see white unity on our side.
Hang on. Sorry, just to be clear.
Hang on.
This has got nothing to do with anything you just said. This is a disgusting racist woman who repeats.
Yeah, she's trying to get off her talking points in the wrong time. This ain't it. Even if you want to, like, that's what Matt Walsh be on. I don't know. Like I said, depending on the time, we might get to Matt Walsh. This is the type of shit he be on. He wants to address how it's okay to be racist to white people, which I agree. I don't like the fact that people are just openly trying to be racist towards white people. I don't like that. But they ain't got shit to do with this situation. So don't bring it up right now.
Repeatedly spews the M-word, first at a young child, and then at the person taking the video of her, does it with complete impunity, does it numerous times.
Brickshaw.
We are talking about a bona fide, unquestionable racist.
Yeah,
so I don't understand why what you've just said to me bears any relation to white unity or anything that you've just said.
Hey, Piers, I give you your kudos for this.
And isn't she? You wouldn't dispute that.
It's not about her. It's not about her. It's about.
It is about her. This is about her. Just like, wait, first of all, I wonder what her take on Kilmar Abrego Garcia is, because it ain't about Kilmar. It's about the message and what you're putting out. It's not about her. This ain't that situation. What you want to talk about is valid. Not right now. We're like, this ain't about, like, Kilmar is not about deporting people. And they want to make it seem like, they're making it seem like, oh, we're trying to harbor criminals. No, it's about the fact that you're not giving people due process, which then affects everybody. And I agree. We shouldn't let people be racist towards white people just because they're white. I agree. But this ain't that. She's racist and she don't care. And you're trying to bring that up? This ain't the time, shorty.
It's about her.
Coming together.
This is
and
about
supporting another white person. And
what? With the fam. She said the quiet part out loud. I'm not rallying around a black murderer that's like out in the streets mowing down white people because he's mad that white people that racism exists. I'm not getting behind somebody that's going in the street and killing people cause. I'm not rallying around gang violence for the sake of gang violence. I get where it comes from, but I'm not saying that I'm rallying around them because they're black and I understand the struggle. Get the fuck out. She just said we're coming around her because she's white. So you let racism supersede being white. So it's like, well, I'm white, she white, cool. She racist, I'm white. Oh well, cool. Get the fuck out of here.
it's about
Well,
white
it's about
people
her.
coming together and supporting another white person. And it doesn't
This sounds like a parody, bro. Like, this don't this sound like something you would hear on South Park or some shit. Like, she just was about white people. Like, it just sounds funny because it's like, now, like, you know how white people be having their Italian pride, Russian pride, German pride, Poland pride, whatever it is. Now it's just like, we white. We got to stick together because even if they're racist, we got to stick together. This is exactly the same mentality that MAGA has. Whatever Trump says, we have to follow it. It doesn't matter. We can't think on our own. If Trump says it, it's cool.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
Exactly.
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in a country.
Nobody said she can't say these words. That's not the conversation. That's not the conversation.
No, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say.
Exactly.
I mean, would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
She did.
You would?
Piers, you don't know she did?
Mm-hmm. I do, quite frequently.
You use the N-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
What Ms. Mark face?
Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, well, if you use the N-word...
Myron getting turned on. Look, that just made his day. Myron is in there, boy. He is happy as fuck. He like, he's my kind of bitch. Let me get your number after this. Goof ass. Brickshot, like, this free speech shit is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's so fucking stupid because nobody's talking about free speech. Nobody says she should not be allowed to say that.
Repeatedly, you are
Myron
a racist,
is turned on.
I'm a neo-Nazi.
Look.
Yes, according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, well, if you use the N-word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you?
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means forwarding, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way, Shiloh Hendricks is being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to bring legal charges against her. They're trying to get her children taken away. So you were saying...
I don't know nothing about all that. It maybe have some truth to it, but that probably is a minority.
Carmelo Anthony, it doesn't matter. That's a different
Sorry, but just to be
thing.
clear, you just said to me you use the N-word.
Lucas, I don't like Pierce, but I have to admit he makes great content. Like, I don't like Pierce, but he makes entertaining content. That's all I can say.
Regularly. In what context? Do you use it with black people?
Yes, if it's appropriate.
When would it be appropriate to use the N-word? When would it be appropriate?
Anytime I feel like it.
So you're an unashamed racist.
Correct.
Wait, did she say yes?
You're an unashamed racist.
Correct.
Well, do you understand that makes you a despicable human being?
I guess so. I don't really care. I mean, why are we not talking about Shiloh Hendricks? Why are we talking about...
Well, actually, I think you've moved it on in this debate very quickly to your own racism, which explains why you've supported her in public and why you've got all these views. You see no problem with a woman shrieking the N-word repeatedly because you yourself are a despicable racist, and you've just proudly admitted that with a smug grin on your face, which is pretty horrifying.
It is weird though because y'all, like, why says she likes BBC fetish. She has a BBC fetish. I could be wrong. I don't know if Tron or Watts could tell me. I feel like she has a black child. I feel like she got a mixed child. I could be wrong. Unless she's just admitting it just to bulldoze through the conversation without getting hung up on it, maybe.
Actually, for most people to have to watch. And shame on you. You're entitled to do it, and I'm entitled to call you despicable.
Well, shame on white people for allowing themselves to be systematically discriminated against in the United States. This is our country. This is a country that should be...
What do you mean your country?
Okay.
Because
I don't know about a kid. I feel like I saw that somewhere.
People in American history. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that is weird. It's like you say the N-word. I'm like, why do you have her on? I thought she was known. I thought her claim to fame was when she used the N-word. So for Pierce to not know that is weird.
They've all just landed in America, invading your white country. Is that your position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they were brought here technically.
My God, do you understand how dumb you sound?
This is stupid. This is stupid and racist, and at some point we have to ask ourselves, do we want to reward this kind of disgusting behavior by platforming it?
I don't disagree,
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Pierce actually looks pissed. I'm not gonna lie. He looks like he's highly annoyed right now. He looks highly annoyed.
Reward this kind of disgusting behavior by platforming it.
I don't disagree, Mark. Listen, I didn't know she was going to say that. I don't disagree with you.
No.
And look at Myron,
I'm with you. I don't
ball.
think you can do ahead of time. I'm saying at this moment, someone who's saying technically black people brought up. No, technically Africans were stolen, enslaved, and they built this country. And the idea that you can justify calling a baby the N-word by saying that white people are losing the country is absurd. It's morally bankrupt, and it's honestly besides the point. I mean, all these these are just distractions from the fact that she wants to justify dehumanizing and even animalizing.
I will say, as much as Pierce tries to, damn, my bad, y'all. Fuck. I hit a button on accident. As much as Pierce tries to hide his love for Trump, when it's obvious that he needs to take a stand, he will. He's been confronting MAGA supporters about how ridiculous Trump has been. He's confronting them. I will say that. But if it's easy for him to straddle the line, he'll do it. But when it's obvious like this and how bad Trump is behaving as a president, he'll call it out.
People brought up. No, technically, Africans were stolen, enslaved, and they built this country. And the idea that you can justify calling a baby the N-word by saying that white people are losing the country is absurd. It's morally bankrupt, and it's honestly besides the point. I mean, all these are just distractions from the fact that she wants to justify dehumanizing and even animalizing a small black child. It's disgusting.
What is it?
Yeah, I never said that.
No, you may as well have done because you're just an unashamed.
That's the implication of your
racist. Let me bring in Myron Gaines because you've been smirking and laughing. What's funny about any of this?
Well, I mean, I find it interesting that you guys want to virtue signal and wag the finger and say she's a racist and everything else like this.
No, she admitted she's a racist.
She is a racist.
Well, let me
I'm not wagging a finger at anybody.
She's self-identified as a racist.
But Myron, with respect, Myron, I don't need to wag a finger when somebody says, yeah, I'm racist. I use the N-word against black people. I don't care. That's a racist. I'm not wagging any finger. I'm not accusing anybody. She is admitting it proudly. Even you can't defend that, surely.
Everybody is racist to some degree.
Oh my God, I knew he was finna say that stupid shit, bro. I knew it. Well, Watts, I don't know if you're talking about this girl or Shiloh. This girl says she's racist. I don't know if Shiloh said she's racist. But Myron, everybody, no, bro, everybody's not racist. He finna bring up stereotypes that don't make you racist. Or he finna be like, bring up jokes that don't make you racist.
Reality is, it depends on, a lot of people want to be politically correct. A lot of people want to sit there and say, I'm not racist at all. We all have biases. We all have stereotypes.
Bias and stereotypes is not racism, you fucking idiot. That's why they're different words. They are not the same. You can have bias and stereotypes that lead you to be racist, but no, just because you have biases don't make you racist.
We all make jokes. We all are racist to some degree. Now, how racist you are is a whole other situation.
Shut the fuck
but everyone
up.
is racist. That's number one. Next thing I want to say. See, I think this Shiloh, Hendricks, and Metcalf situation is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. And that bigger problem is what I call systemic organized. And what I mean by this is...
I think he says systemic organized niggotry.
Problem. And that bigger problem is what I call systemic organized. And what I mean by this is for decades, we've had black people literally running around.
Look, she's smirking too.
With black supremacy, committing crimes, not getting accountability for their actions, and then they blame the system for it. For example, George Floyd, criminal. Ferguson, criminals. Freddie Gray, criminal. A lot of these people are criminals, and what ends up happening...
what's happening is you can be a criminal. That does not mean you deserve to die on the spot unjustly. What the fuck is this conflation? Being a criminal don't mean you get killed on the spot unjustly. Depends on what you do. George Floyd didn't deserve to die. Deserve to die. I don't recall the Freddie Gray incident. I don't remember the details of it.
Is
and notice he only said 2 names. Did he just say 2 names out of how many we've been through with since like fucking 2014, 2012? How many names have we had of people being unjustly killed? And he named 2? Mind you, I don't remember Freddie Gray, but George Floyd was definitely unjust. So, what the fuck? He named 2. Freddie Gray, George Floyd. Well, there's a lot more names that we bring up that you didn't seem to mention, Myron. What does that tell you?
Police officer, they get into a physical altercation, things go left, they die, something happens, use of force is utilized, and then they want to cry about the result. When in reality,
what the fuck? They die, something happens, bro. What?
Freddie Gray, criminal. A lot of these people are criminals, and what ends up happening is they challenge the police officer, they get into a physical altercation, things go left, they die, something happens, use of force is utilized, and then they want to cry about the result. When in reality, it's not the police killing black people, it's black people killing black people. And if you want to
talk about when in reality, yes, every race kills their own the most. We know that. The problem is police is more than just a white person. They have more responsibility. It's not the fact that they're white.
Black on white violence, black people kill white people 2 times as much. And on top of that, most of the shootings in America, black people kill white people 2 times as much. And on top of that, most of the shootings in America, a lot of the times, are white cops killing other unarmed white men. So
yeah, see, because there's more white people, and yes, and that doesn't mean it's always unjust. Like every black person that got killed by a white cop or a cop, period, it don't mean it was unjust automatically. And that goes for white people too. So just saying that they get killed by police officers more than black people, that's not saying much. Like, both of them can be killed justly or unjustly. And I would be just as upset if a white person got killed by a cop unjustly.
This whole systemic racism or police brutality or, oh, it's all so messed up. The reality is this. Black people have been able to get away with a ridiculous amount of privilege in America for a very long time. They're able to be racist with impunity. They're able to call white people crackers without being challenged back. And quite frankly, white America's had enough of it, and the chickens have come to roost. Now, look, Am I saying that's awesome? Am I saying that's great? No, but for literally the better part of almost 2 decades since the Obama era, we've had to have BLM and liberalism shoved down our throats, and quite frankly, we're all tired of it.
Right, but just to be clear, you would have no problem with one member of this panel openly saying she uses the N-word against
No, Myron don't care. Piers knows this. You know damn well Myron don't give a fuck about that shit.
Impunity and is proud of being a racist. You have no problem with that?
My worldview on the protection of the First Amendment and freedom of speech overrides.
Bitch, nobody's talking about the First Amendment. Why do they... Oh my God, they will not stop doing this stupid shit, bro. Nobody's talking about the First Amendment, my nigga.
My personal feeling. She has the right to say
That's fine. You can support the First Amendment, but you can also have a personal view about what she said.
My feelings are irrelevant. The Constitution is the Constitution.
He's asking you whether they're irrelevant or not, they exist. I hate when he does that. My feelings are irrelevant. My feelings are irrelevant. Then why the fuck you always doing shit like this?
Again!
Why are your feelings relevant when you want to scream and bitch about something? When Abba and Preach cook your ass, your feelings is pretty relevant then, huh? Because that's all I see is when they cook you is your fucking feelings. Now somebody asks you a poignant question. What is your thoughts on something that I'm asking you about that's very politicizing and dividing? You ain't got no feelings. Your feelings are irrelevant. Well, shut your ass up the next time Abba and Preach cook you, because who gives a fuck about your feelings being relevant?
That's what matters.
Oh, that's fascinating. Hold on. So when it comes to chastising black Americans about their behavior, about calling white people crackers, as you say, about their
Come on, Mark, for knowing your
system, you can levy a judgment against black Americans for all the things they do. But when it comes to this woman saying the N-word, and this other woman endorsing it and saying that she herself uses the N-word. Now all of a sudden we can only talk about the Constitution and the legal right. We can't offer any moral judgment against it. That's disingenuous, and it's as the only Black American up here, that's quite frustrating to hear.
Here's the thing. If you want to be soft and get offended by that, that's your fucking problem, not mine.
Let me ask Ricky.
We're not even.
Let me ask Ricky. Ricky,
this isn't about being soft any more than when you were desperately saving these white people.
Hold on. The nature that you have.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He said desperately saving white people.
More than when you were desperately saving these white people.
Hold on. This sensitive nature that you have is precisely why we have this problem.
It's not about being sensitive. It's about, I didn't.
Why is he trying to make it about being sensitive? Bitch, you're not answering the question saying your feelings are irrelevant, but you have no problem putting your feelings on full display. Like he said, when you always talking about what Black people do wrong. That's all you fucking do. Or when Aberrant Preacher's cooking you, you want to talk about how we're making your money and all that shit. And like you made 100 videos on us. Then your feelings is all on display. But you don't want to mention your feelings when it's something that's actually worth discussing.
I didn't articulate. Hold on. Let me finish, Myron. Let me speak and then I'll let you respond. Myron, sure. I didn't articulate any sensitivity here. What I said in the same way that you levied a judgment against Black people, I'm levying one against the claims you're making. I'm no more sensitive than you were when you made your claim. I'm simply saying I disagree with you. And to immediately jump to you're being sensitive is just a distraction.
Because Myron don't know what to do when somebody that's more cerebral than him in the room. Yes, the most sensitive person.
Again!
Like, bro, you're the most sensitive person probably on this panel. Shorty at least could admit that she's a full-blown racist and not give a fuck. Mark is responding to your dumbass response, and you said you're sensitive. You didn't even engage. He can't handle somebody that's smarter than him in the room.
Just respond to my argument.
If you're struggling,
you're getting too much money for this many ads,
sleep
bro.
better.
Now,
I'm hating.
And my argument to respond to that is this. Political correctness, liberalism, and making sure that we are politically correct and don't use certain words could offend people is precisely why we're in the situation that we're in. For decades, we've had to literally tiptoe around saying certain things around certain people while the other group of people has been able to have impunity and be able to be as racist as they want to be, as violent as they want to be without any type of consequence.
That violent shit gotta
out,
stop.
You're labeled
they killing me with this violent shit because they keep trying to act like the 2020 riots was centered on attacking people when we all know that that's not the case. There was very minimal violence against people during those riots, not to say that there wasn't any at all, but that wasn't the focal point. Yeah, stuff got destroyed, but that's stuff. And I'm not saying it's okay either, but let's not act like the riots were about attacking people because they weren't.
Racist. The reality is this. Black people don't want to live around Black people. I don't want to live around a bunch of Black people. I move to neighborhoods where it's majority white because I know I'm safe. Now, this is uncomfortable reality that no one wants to say, so I'll say it for them. Black people commit a lot of crimes. A majority of the violent crime committed in the United States is committed by a small percentage of people, and they tend to be Black men. Look, the reality is the reality. People don't want to say it, but the political correctness and being nice and not wanting to tell the truth is precisely this problem. And the reason why you're seeing all the support for Metcalf and Shiloh, etc., is because white people have not been able to step up and say what they want to say for a very long time because of what I said before, systemic, organized, where they don't take accountability for their decisions.
Let me bring in Ricky to respond. Ricky.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say that I agree that virtue signaling went too far, that political correctness went too far.
Yep, I can agree.
We're going from virtue signaling being the norm and being praised to now vice signaling being the norm and being praised. It's not just a matter of does this woman have the right to use that word? I believe that she has the right. I disagree with it. But is she now being rewarded with $500,000? Why are we rewarding people for performing vice instead of virtue? This is not healthy. This is destructive to our society. This is destructive to our social fabric, to our culture, to our ability to live with other fellow Americans. It's
because he get clicks, Jasmine.
To reward someone for bad behavior. It's one thing to tolerate it, to say that she has the right to do it, but she called an autistic 5-year-old the N-word. Like, I'm sorry, but I feel like
and that's the thing too. Like, what are we talking about? This wasn't a full adult that she did it to. That was if this was a grown man rummaging through her shit, I probably would. I would care, but it wouldn't even be like something that I would highly focus on because it'd be like, damn, that's fucked up. But, you know, Why you like, you're an adult. Why are you going through another woman's stuff with a child at the park? You a creep. Honestly, you probably would deserve it because you'll be a fucking creep. But we're talking about a 5-year-old child. That means she's so racist that it goes past an adult black person to, you don't give a fuck about kids. Then she said, that's if he's gonna act like one, that's what I'm gonna call him. He's 5 and allegedly autistic. And even if he wasn't autistic, he's still 5.
Missing the point in the actual context. You can say that it's part of this bigger meta story of black and white America, but it actually is just like a short little clip, and you don't even know the context of it, and it's actually gross. And if we can't just say that it's gross and bad, then I don't really know where we are.
Well, I think it's interesting to me that Lily Gaddis, you retweeted Nick Fuentes, the white supremacist, by saying he said black people just raised $500,000 for a cold-blooded killer who stabbed a white teenager to death. So I don't want to hear one word about the
it's
Shiloh
confirmed.
Hendricks fundraiser. Everyone gets to be tribal.
I can't say that. I'm sorry.
Or
Yeah, he's
nobody
5.
does.
He's 5. I missed the Nick Fuentes tweet.
Death. So I don't want to hear one word about the cold-blooded killer who stabbed a white teenager to death. So I don't want to hear
cold-blooded killer, bro. He's not been convicted of anything. Why are you calling him a cold-blooded killer? I'm sure you defended Kyle Rittenhouse when the left was calling him a cold-blooded killer. I didn't call him anything till the facts came out. And the more shit came out, I'm like, he's getting off. Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't a cold-blooded killer, and they tried to call him that. So why are we calling him a cold-blooded killer? And you don't know the story. Based off what the information has been presented, don't know if it's going to be carried out that way in court. He got a good case of self-defense. So what the fuck are we talking about?
One word about the Shiloh Hendricks fundraiser. Everyone gets to be tribal or nobody does. Why would you retweet that?
Because I agree with it. Because we have to fight fire with fire. I mean, at some point, why are
nobody does?
Why are Jewish people allowed to be tribal? Why are black people allowed to be tribal? But as soon as white people stand
You're defending nonsense. People aren't defending Carmelo for moral people aren't defending Carmelo for killing a white boy. They're defending the fact that he has a right to defend himself. And he can defend himself in court. It's not about like, yeah, kill those white folks. I will hope that majority of the people see it that way. I know that there's people out there that just are happy that a black kid could get away with killing a white kid, which is fucked up. But the point is, he has a right to defend himself. This woman is overtly racist, and you want to rally around the worst. People didn't rally around George Floyd because he was a criminal. They rallied around the situation because he did not deserve to die like that. He didn't deserve that, no matter even the crime he committed, counterfeit. Like that wasn't something to be killed over. That's the problem. Y'all want to claim that black people rally around the worst. Y'all doing that. You're supporting somebody that's saying they're fucking racist. Trump didn't want to Trump, you had to pull his fucking teeth to admit that the people that was sorting, the white supremacists were just good people on both sides. Like, come on.
For themselves, we're labeled a racist. And by the way,
because you're supporting a racist.
You want them to stop talking about things.
No, I called you a racist because you admitted you were a racist. Hang on.
Damn, bro, you stay in that motherfucker.
Just to be clear, I called you a racist because you openly, proudly admitted you're a racist. So it wasn't a question of exposing you or pointing my finger or trying to get this out of you. You proudly sat there, bold as brass, and said, yeah, I use the N-word all the time against black people. I'm a racist and I'm proud of it. That's what you did.
That's what you said.
Racism is just having a preference. I prefer not to live around black people. I prefer not to live in a country where white people in our country are disproportionately attacked by black people. Where in my country, you can have an Austin Metcalf where he asks a guy to leave and he gets stabbed in the heart. I prefer that. That's a preference.
You don't know what happened.
What a real racist is, in my opinion, is seeing someone as less human. I'm a Christian. I believe everyone's created in God's image. So I don't see anyone as less human. But that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to have a preference and say, I don't like what happens to be coming out of this community or that community. How is that a bad thing? How is that not just a preference?
Because you've literally made black people sound lesser humans. You don't want to live around them. You want to use the N-word in relation to them, a word that you know causes that community unbelievable offense.
My fault? Is that my fault? If they have bad behavior, if they want to act in a certain way.
So you're just saying that all black people are the same? This is insane. She's stupid as fuck.
If I have to cross the street and be afraid that maybe because of the crime statistics that are very real, by the way, is that my fault?
She's just saying it out. Well, hey, she's just saying it. She's owning it. She's owning it.
Bad behavior.
That's mind-boggling to me for multiple reasons. I mean, we're talking about bad behavior. You know, we've never lynched you. We've never enslaved you. We've never done any of the deep-seated structural forms of injustice to white people that white people have done to black people, and yet to claim some kind of moral superiority.
It was a weird time to jump in.
The midst of, and again, in the context of a conversation where a white woman is calling a 5-year-old autistic child the N-word, and we're talking about black people's bad behavior, this is absurd. And the idea of fighting fire with fire, again, is a dishonest argument. Just to take us back to the point here, the people who are supporting Carmelo Anthony's campaign believe that he was wrongfully charged, and they're trying to get him legal defense. The people who are defending this woman are saying, yes, we know you called the 5-year-old autistic black child the N-word, and we want more of it. We approve of it. We support it.
And we want more of it.
And it's bonkers to me that we couldn't all stand and say, hey, it is wrong to call a 5-year-old autistic black child the
It ain't about just stepping off the boat. If she's gonna call all, he can, when, first of all, she's talking about we too as far as all white people. She's saying we need to rally around racists. So there's nothing wrong with saying as far as historically speaking, we as in black people didn't enslave white folks as the opposite happened. You know what I'm saying? But it don't matter if he stepped off the boat. She's including him, so he can say we. She's talking about him, too. She didn't make any distinction. She said, yeah, I got to be worried about crossing the street. I don't want to live around them. She's talking about black people. She don't care. She's just saying because you're black.
N-word. I mean, Myron, let me just ask you that question. I think this is a yes or no question. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think the woman was wrong to do what she did to that child in that park?
He ain't going to give a yes or no question. I don't know what he going to say, but it ain't going to be a yes or no answer.
I don't approve of that, but what I will say is that it's very important to understand the entire context of what led us.
I'll give him, I don't approve. I don't know. I don't approve, don't feel the same as yes. I could be wrong.
To this position, because again, Metcalf and Hendricks is a microcosm of a much larger problem. Earlier, we were talking about tribalism when you were mentioning Nick Fuentes' tweet.
I think Metcalf could be part of the larger problem. I think there's more merit to the debacle of Metcalf and Carmelo. Not full on its face, not a 180 than this one. This is just flat out wrong. And to use this as your stepping stool to talk about how white people been treated is fucking ridiculous. Like, it's fucking ridiculous because it's a 5-year-old.
Here's the thing. Black people could be as tribal as they want to be. You have people like Tariq
Be
Nasheed.
Tribal when it's necessary. I will be tribal when you should be tribal is Kyle Rittenhouse. That's the moment to be tribal. They did Kyle wrong. I don't like the way they treated Kyle. They're like, he put up a white power symbol. What all the Proud Boy symbol, all that stupid shit. When the boy was doing nothing on camera but being a public servant to people the whole time he was at them riots, and he got attacked and defended himself. That's when you get tribal, because the left and black folks was so mad at him, thinking he just was out there just shooting people for no reason, and he wasn't. That's when you be tribal. Reason people are tribal for Carmelo is because he fucking needs a chance to defend himself. You're not just gonna call him a murderer and then he just goes to trial and doesn't have any good defense just to be a murderer when the case don't seem cut and dry. It's not cut and dry, so he gets a chance to defend himself. You don't be tribal about open racists that are like, I'm racist and I don't care, to a fucking 5-year-old, bro.
Dr. Umar Johnson running around about black power and marry black women and keep it in the hood and all this other stuff. But if white people assemble and say, you know what, white power, we need to keep our nation white, they're immediately ostracized. And
ain't no keep our nation white. America's not a white nation. It didn't, not even from its inception, America's not a white nation. Just because it's more of y'all don't mean it belongs to you. What type of logic is that, Myron? It's more people producing your show than hosting it. So what if they be like, well, this is fresh and fit shit. This is our shit. We created, so Myron, fuck what you got to say. Fuck you and whatever, I don't care. You didn't build it. I mean, you didn't build it alone. You know, you saying you had a crew. What the fuck are we talking about? This ain't a white nation. Why would he say this is a white nation? We know that's not true.
The supremacists, and they get banned off every single platform. I find that interesting. And matter of fact, You went
Isn't
ahead
that the
and
same thing?
Stupid.
No, actually, it is the same thing. Because here's the problem with black people.
No,
you
it's not.
Hold on. Let me finish this. Black people practice the very racism they cry about. You guys can gather together and say Black Lives Matter, Black Power, but if white people get together and say white power, gather together,
it's because it's in rebuttal to Black Power and Black Lives Matter. It's not because they feel that way.
Considered white supremacists and they get banned off every single platform. Why is that Jared Taylor and Nick Fuentes are banned off every platform for practicing white nationalism?
Wait, did he say y'all as in black people? Did he say that? Oh, wait, Red Dragon, wait, no way, did I miss that?
The same thing.
And they get banned off every single Black Power and marry black women and keep it in the hood and all this other stuff. But if white people assemble and say, you know what, white power, we need to keep our nation white, they're immediately
to be fair, he's quoting them.
And they get banned off every single platform. I find that interesting. And matter of fact, you went ahead
Isn't that the same thing?
No, actually, it is the same thing. Because here's the problem with black people.
No, it's not.
Hold on, let me finish this. Black people practice the very racism they cry about. You guys can gather together and say Black Lives Matter.
He's
Black
saying
power,
you
but if white
guys.
people get together and say white power, gather together. They're considered white supremacists
See,
and they get banned
right
off every single platform. Why is that Jared Taylor and Nick Fuentes are banned off every platform for practicing white nationalism, but black people are allowed to stand every single platform getting
You
interviewed?
keep fucking lying. Fuentes is not banned simply for white nationalism. Fuentes is anti-Semitic as fuck and unabashedly, so stop lying.
On a Breakfast Club. Explain that to me. There's a two-tier. Black people are allowed to stand every single platform getting interviews on a Breakfast Club. Explain that to me. There's a two-tier.
I don't like black nationalists either.
Where black people are able to benefit off of being racist.
I don't like that
whites
shit.
Are not.
But I don't know if you realize, like, ain't Farrakhan blocked off social media too? A lot of them. I know Facebook for a fact, but probably more.
What we're dealing with right
I'm
now
not a
in
fan of
America
black nationalism
is
either.
literally a backlash to this.
That's
Black
just me.
supremacy has been able to run around unchecked for a long time, and no one has the balls to call it out. Here's the other thing I want to say. Everyone's flipping out over Shiloh Hendricks is saying the N-word.
Hey, can I respond to the point you just made, though?
Yeah, you finna
Hold
filibuster.
on. Nobody flipped out like this when the United States was getting destroyed in 2020 because of black protests destroying every liberal city in America. So I don't want to hear it.
This is so stupid. This is such a fucking stupid point. Why are you saying it as if it was random? And even this situation, to me, I think his overarching point is trying to say that white people are fed up, so they're being racist. But black people didn't go out and attack white people out of their anger. She didn't start a protest. She didn't smash windows. Maybe if she wanted her voice to be heard because she's sick of white people being unable to be racist openly or guess whatever the fuck her problem is, why she ain't go riot? That's what black people did. That's more comparable. Black people didn't go up to white people and say, you're a cracker. Like, they didn't do that shit. So what is this comparison?
About, she made $100,000.
Yeah, they keep exaggerating. They acting like black people was out there like burning every city down to the ground. They act like we had to rebuild from ground zero for everything. Like, it's just bad that it happened, but it's not like most of the riots, most of the Freudian slip, most of the protests were peaceful. There were some that shit got fucked up, but that wasn't what most people remember. Y'all just bring it up as some type of point that makes no sense.
N-word. Who cares? They destroyed billions of dollars of structure because someone got killed who was a criminal. That's the problem in America. You guys get
So criminals should get killed. Is that the argument? Somebody that got killed that was a criminal. So criminals deserve to die no matter what the crime is. And then you're harping on things versus people being harmed or being abused. Like, come on. You're comparing somebody getting killed unjustly, I think most would agree. I know most would agree. Of course, you probably don't. To property getting destroyed.
Of dollars of structure because someone got killed who was a criminal. That's the problem in America. You guys get a privilege
doesn't realize
that
how
no one
stupid
else
this
gets to enjoy.
sounds?
You could be racist.
Okay.
Right, and it wasn't just black people in the BLM
Hang on, I'm going to hold
riots
it there. We've got
or
another guest
protests.
joining us. Mark, I'll come back to you to respond to that in a moment. But we've been joined now by Jacob Wells. He's the Christian founder of the Give, Send, Go donation site that both campaigns
Why don't you
have
talk
been
to him
hosted
after?
on. Thank you very much indeed for joining me, Mr. Wells. First of all, your reaction to what seems to me to be a blatant hijacking of both of these fundraising host sites for different reasons, but definitely been hijacked by people for racist motivation.
No, I think that's completely correct, Piers. I do think that there was an element here that did hijack, that came at this and really became a racist, tribalist element between the two campaigns. Independently of themselves, I think that they would have existed on our platform in a whole different manner, but because of the narratives around them and the proximity to each other, they created a life of their own, and it is unfortunate. It's sad to see, because as a Christian myself, what I respect about humanity and the image of God on us, I believe
what's
that we're
up?
all
Where you been,
valuable.
man? I ain't seen you in a while.
People have dignity and worth, and we want to see that.
Yeah, I hope he let Mark respond, because Myron, he can't, like, that was ridiculous. I hope Mark holds on to whatever he was going to say.
Held for people even in difficult moments. That's why our platform exists, is to share hope with people. And it's been a difficult week, several weeks of just navigating the complexity of these situations as a platform.
Bro,
system, library quality.
I'm sorry, Piers.
But let me ask you, in the case of Shiloh Hendricks, it seems to me pretty open and shut. This is a woman on camera repeatedly using the N-word, first of all with a 5-year-old autistic child, it seems, then an adult who's filming her, doesn't care, is blatantly racist. Why should someone like that be allowed to raise any money on your site if, as you say, you are driven by a Christian purpose?
I don't know what he's going to say. Yeah, well, he said he's personally Christian. I don't know if that has anything to do with the company itself. I think, to be fair, it's hard to just pick and choose who you let on the platform to raise money and who not, because then you enter the area of, well, how you choose this and not that, and I think it's easier for them to just let anybody do it or whatever, unless there's some form of actual criminality going on, like say somebody is trying to dodge the police or something, they on the run or some shit like that, who knows, whatever. But unless you're actually doing criminality on there versus like trying to raise a defense fund or whatever, that's totally different. I think that, I don't know if I'm totally against them taking it down, but Pierce has a point. It's like, this person's openly racist and admittedly, and they're not even, it's like, I don't know. It's a sticky thing when you're in this type of business. We're working on getting my workspace together. I'm glad to catch. Yeah, man. I was just looking through the Discord. I was like, damn, I ain't seen Nova say nothing in a while because you was in tune for a second, you know. But you doing what you got to do. I feel you. Appreciate you for coming through the stream.
Well, that's a fascinating question. I would almost flip it around. It's like if we tried to create litmus tests for everybody to come onto a platform to use it, I pretty much could guarantee nobody would pass the litmus test, because the reality of humanity is that we're broken. This was the whole principle of Jesus in the first place, says, is that we needed a savior, and that's what he came for.
So just to be clear, then,
start down the road.
Hang on, just to be clear. So that's interesting what you just said. So you would let anybody onto your platform to raise money for anything? Is that your position?
What is the test? What is it?
No, the position is that there are laws that define what is legal and what isn't legal.
Okay.
And we adhere to the laws as the framework for what is and isn't
so it's the
allowed.
law.
But inciting racial hatred is a crime, right?
Is it? Well,
inciting racial hatred is a crime?
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't think what she did would be considered I don't know, but I don't think that would fall. What she did in itself wasn't a crime. I think you're saying the racial hatred is all the response to it. But what she did herself wasn't a crime. So that's a little sticky.
Where?
You don't think it's a crime?
In the U.S.?
Yeah, it is.
No, what she did is not a crime.
I've never seen that as a law on the books,
what she did wasn't a crime.
I'm not even American, and I know it's a law on the books. You're not allowed to incite racial hatred or violence against ethnic groups based on their ethnicity.
But that's not calling somebody a derogatory name is not inciting racial hatred in itself. I think it has to be more action taken behind that.
A more glaring example than someone on camera calling black people the N-word.
That's not a crime, Piers. Why would you say that?
Black people the N-word. Be a more glaring example than someone on camera calling black people the N-word.
Why would he make this argument? This is stupid.
Violence and words are two different things, and we do make a distinction of that in America. They are very clearly different things. I don't know of any law I'd be happy for you to inform me with what that law is, because I don't know everything. I'm happy to admit that. But as has already been mentioned on the show earlier, there are needs that exist outside of the reality of that moment.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking
Shiloh.
about.
I don't condone the behavior. Obviously, we didn't see the actual behavior
because
was
he is dumb.
accused in the moment. What we saw was the aftermath of a kind of baited moment.
Yeah, but she carries on using the N-word to a black person.
Piers, he's trying to make this about morality, but I do understand as a company, they're trying to, he's just saying if it's legal, that's what you could put on there. If it's legal, they just don't want anything illegal being carried out on their platform. And like he said, it's hard to just pick and choose like how much, but based on backlash to who you can let be on your platform and who you can't. She didn't break a law, so she can be on the platform. I get it.
That's a racist.
Yeah, well, she might have some racial elements. I don't know. I don't know Shiloh
some
personally.
Racial elements. She uses the N-word repeatedly to a black man.
Yeah, but
and
it's
she
not
doesn't
a crime.
Having
It's
just
not a
used it to
crime,
a 5-year-old
Piers.
black child. I'm not sure what more evidence you need that this person's
I
a
do
racist.
think what's disgusting to me is that people that want to give her money for being racist. That's the problem. She can because she probably knew she couldn't put this shit on GoFundMe, because I guess GoFundMe, they'll take you down if they don't like you. I don't know. But she knew to go to Give, Send, Go because they don't do that. And I can't believe people donated to her. That's what's crazy. And not even just donated, but how much they donated.
And my question for you is simply, where is that line for you? You say
he said the line is legal.
If somebody is literally raising
the line is
hundreds of
legality,
thousands of dollars
Piers,
to support them because they were blatantly
and that's not
racist.
illegal.
I'm just curious how that fits with the Christian ethos of what your site's supposed to be about.
Well, it fits actually very well because we can, like I started to say,
right, Nova, they
don't
mad.
operate.
They're like, and I do think a large portion of this is because of Carmelo. If the Carmelo Anthony situation hadn't just happened, I think that she would not get as much support. She'll get some, but not as much as she got. This woman finna become a fucking millionaire off this shit.
Litmus test of your past behaviors as far as the services that you get to provide. The moment that you start walking down the narrative that we're not going to provide you electricity, water, because we don't like you, the structural elements, the movement of money, which is a basic element to society.
So let me just ask you this. So
wait, why you
if someone was being blatantly anti-Semitic, for example, right, would you allow them
yes,
to
they
raise
can be
money
it's not
on
illegal.
your platform to defend themselves over their anti-Semitism?
Please be consistent.
We sit in a very interesting position as a platform in trying to navigate the complexities of these issues.
Yeah, so what's the answer, though?
Let them can say things. Well, I'll say historically, we've stood on that principle of saying we're going to allow things that we disagree with.
Okay.
And we've allowed things that we completely disagree with.
Do you allow
on the
people to
platform.
do pro-abortion? Do you allow pro-abortion fundraising?
Actually, there's two caveats to what Give, Send, Go has carved out, and one of them is
wish me luck.
It's broken into two pieces.
Yeah,
but it's
this
the
is when
protection of
Piers
children.
losing
so
me.
we say we're going to protect children because they don't have a voice. So we're not going to allow fundraising for abortions on Give, Send, Go, and we're not going to allow fundraising for the transition of children.
Okay, but what about
wait,
a 5-year-old?
Wait, what?
Of children. So it Give, Send, Go has carved out, and one of them is it's broken into two pieces, but it's the protection of children. So we say,
bitch. All right. Now I'm pissed. I was on this motherfucker side. The protection of children is based off what you feel. You said you're gonna do stuff that you disagree. You're gonna let things that you disagree with on your platform. You disagree with abortions and transitions. That's not protecting children based off what you feel. Because if you're being objective, fucking gender affirming care does help children when done correctly. It objectively helps them as far as we know to this day. So you're just gonna, I don't like this, so we're not gonna put it on our platform? You gotta be shitting me.
Hey, we're gonna protect children because they don't have a voice. So we're not gonna allow
Protecting children is keeping them away from abusive parents. Protecting children is keeping them away from a violent situation or being around drugs. Not keeping them away from, not keeping people from abortions, getting a fucking abortion. So you telling me you're gonna let people on your platform that are openly racist, but not a woman that needs an abortion and can't get one with the money that she has, and she got to travel across the country to somewhere else to get one. You're not gonna support that. That's not protecting children, mother. Oh, that just pissed me off, bro.
We say we're going to protect children because they don't have a voice. So we're not going to allow fundraising for abortions on Give, Send, Go, and we're not going to allow fundraising for the transition of children.
Okay, but what about a 5-year-old child being?
And it's not, and the children don't transition in the way y'all think of it. Holy fuck. Y'all trying to make these rules and don't understand what the fuck you talking about. Because I'm sure he thinks it's about surgery and shit, and children aren't having surgery. Not surgery that they don't need, I should say. Holy shit. Lucas, I was hoping he was gonna be consistent. I was on his fucking side. But he just fucking, this is bullshit. Now you're full of shit. I don't care about nothing you saying now. Because you don't even really believe what the fuck you just said. We're going to let things on our platforms we disagree with. You disagree with anti-Semitism, they could be on there. You disagree with racism, they could be on there. You disagree with abortion. No, you can't have abortion. You disagree with gender-affirming care. Oh, no. Even though objectively these things are necessary for certain kinds of people in life. These things are fucking necessary for some people. I don't care how you feel about it. That's how you feel. You're ignoring the actual objectivity of the situation because of your religious beliefs, clearly, but you're trying to put on a front that we disagree, you could be on it. Get the fuck out of here.
A 5-year-old black child being called the N-word.
2 questions away, bro. Facts.
Black child being called. Okay, but what about a 5-year-old child being? What about a 5-year-old black child being called the N-word?
What about that?
Where does the protection for that child come in?
Because this is doing good. This is haphazardly was a good question, because all you're doing is incentivizing people to be racist, and clearly towards kids too. You can be racist towards kids because you can hop on Give, Send, Go and make almost $1 million if you're racist towards a kid. Where's the protection for kids at that point? Fuck them, huh? As long as you ain't getting no abortions, but you could call kids niggas, that's fine.
That's their parents' responsibility. That's like,
bro, it's a parent's responsibility to have an abortion if they need it. It ain't just people without kids that want abortions too. People with kids get abortions. People that's married with kids that get abortions. So why the fuck why are kids that are not even in existence being protected, but fuck the kids that's here and need protection? Fuck them. But we gonna worry about protecting zygotes and shit.
If my child, and I have several children, if my child was called something bad, I would take my child aside and I would tell them.
But you just said that one of the caveats.
Hang on,
you just said one of the caveats to Give, Send, Go is the protection of children. You talked about the transitioning process.
And you're not even protecting children with this abortion shit. You're protecting zygotes. You're protecting fetuses. They're not the same as a person.
You talked about abortion, which is obviously your Christian perspective on that. And I'm simply saying, why doesn't it include children being racially abused? Why is that something the parents'
kick the router
responsibility,
out the wall,
not yours as a platform?
No, because
where you are literally
enriched.
You are going to make well, look, let me just spell it out to you. The way things are going, you're going to make a millionaire out of a woman who racially abused a child. And if your caveats are for
that's
protection,
incorrect.
Well, hang on. Well, you are.
Yes, because she doesn't even need this money for legal reasons. She's just trying to avoid being harassed, which you brought it on yourself. When that man, even if she did do that shit, when the man brought out the camera, she went in, she kept it going. She didn't care. So why you ain't just shut the fuck up when he brought out the camera? Now you're like, I need protection, y'all, help me. And now you finna make $1 million. She could buy a house and still have money.
No, I'm not. Because one, we're a platform. We don't make donations to these campaigns. These are individuals that are making donations.
This person will become a millionaire because of your platform.
No, it's not because of our platform. They could send checks, and they could send money a million different ways to individuals.
But they're using your platform,
avenues.
And you've already said to me you carve out things because you want to protect children. I'm just curious, why is racially abusing a child not one of your carve-outs?
Well, what the campaign is fundraising for. So we have to make a distinction between what happens on Give, Send, Go and then what happens outside of Give, Send, Go. Because we can't police everything that happens outside of Give, Send, Go. All that we can police is what happens on Give, Send, Go. So the two instances that I gave were about campaigns that if they were created on Give, Send, Go, that we would, for those scenarios, we would prevent. But things that happen outside of Give, Send, Go, we can't police around. So does someone have the right to raise funds for their security, for their protection, because they've been doxxed, because of a snapshot moment, because everyone has a camera in their pocket? And today, we can see the outworking of this. 3 years ago in New York City.
No, he ain't got the intelligence,
in the middle of the city, there was an altercation between a woman and a black man over bird watching and dogs. And her name was Amy Cooper. And to this day, 3 years later, she hasn't been able to find a job. Because she made a bad mistake, saying the wrong thing in a particular moment
well, she
where
racially
a camera was
abused
pulled
him.
out.
She racially abused him. If you racially abuse people, you are made accountable for your actions.
So for the rest of your life, of your life,
know what?
you're shut off from society.
If you call black people the N-word and racially abuse them, unfortunately, yes, it has consequences, probably for your professional life.
I just love this whole rest of your life thing, but you think that you should force children on people. I love the rest of your life shit as if it's not for the rest of your life to have somebody have a child that they don't want to have. That's very interesting to me. Very interesting.
I'm not saying,
for the rest of your professional life.
We understand that there are consequences. Yeah. I understand there's consequences. What I'm saying is what you're advocating for, it seems, is that for the rest of Shiloh's life.
All this is doing is showing like, yeah, you could be racist. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Don't let them people realize how bad their action was. And I'm sorry, if nobody wants to hire a racist, that's on them. Like, for the rest of her life, yes, people don't want to have to hire a racist. They don't want to deal with that shit, and they shouldn't have to. And it's too gladly we have phones to expose these people, so now these companies could avoid headaches of hiring racists. Because when you hire a racist, you're at a liability. Does that mean I think she shouldn't be able to have a place to live? No, but again, I don't know what the rules but with leasing people houses and stuff is. She gonna have to work on buying one. I don't know how that goes, but nobody should have to hire a racist if they don't want to.
She should be pushed into the recesses of society.
Yeah, and this woman's worse because she don't give a fuck.
Not have a voice, that she should be canceled and silenced. This is what drives people to suicide.
Watching him, he's not doing good.
Cancel culture mantra.
I was with him for a second, but he's tripping.
The best way forward as a society is to cancel them rather than try to bring some redemption into the situation. And for Give, Send, Go, our purpose and our hope is not that we agree with every single campaign. It's why we started a prayer team at Give, Send, Go. We actually call every campaign owner and we pray with them, and we actually talk them back from the ideological edges that they find themselves in by saying, you know what, there's a God that loves you. You don't need to get into this tribal space. You need to focus on rebuilding that relationship with him, because that's the fabric for a principled and moral nation.
Here's the flaw with Shiloh. Here's the flaw with Shiloh Hendricks. She, in her message left on the donation site, it goes on, sentence after sentence, playing the victim. She never once mentions that she repeatedly used the N-word. It doesn't exist in her description of the victimhood statement she puts out there. So it's incredibly disingenuous, because people who read that will not realise, if they don't know the story, that she racially abused a child and then an adult in a most horrific manner. And I'm curious, for you as a company, you take, I believe, tips and donations from each of the donations that come in. Is that how the system works?
The system works on voluntary donations.
Okay.
So the only thing that we receive as revenue from
the $600,000 plus that have now been raised for her, how much have you guys made, Give, Send, Go, from that money? Presumably you know, right?
I actually don't know. I haven't kept track of what the donations to that campaign in particular to Give Send Go
But do you feel
are.
comfortable? Do you feel comfortable making money out of that?
What I feel comfortable doing is last week flying out to Detroit, Michigan, and stepping into somebody's brokenness who had a campaign on Give Send Go because their car was stolen and another car was in an accident and they found out that their 3-year-old had cancer.
Well, that's
and
a different story.
It's
a different story completely.
And it's a completely different story, but it's a reality of what we use the funds from Give Send Go for.
The bottom line is you're making, I don't know, tens of thousands, maybe more, out of a particular part of your site that has been set up by a racist who was proudly racist on camera repeatedly. And you say you want to protect children, but the reason that she is so infamous is she originally, in that exchange, racially abused a child. And you might laugh and smirk and smile.
This is kind of weird, bro.
You keep jumping. Yeah, I don't think it's funny either. You've put me in a position to try to defend Shiloh, which I have no defense for Shiloh. I don't defend calling a child something like that. What is very evident is that, one, we don't have video of her doing any of those things outside of the post
She didn't deny
video.
it.
So
where she literally uses the N-word repeatedly, and she doesn't deny using it against the child. In fact, she makes it clear she did do it because he was behaving like one, she said. So I don't know why you're being so mealy-mouthed about it.
So,
the bottom line is she's obviously a nasty racist. She's proud of being a racist. She admitted being a racist, and we heard her being a racist. There is no doubt about what happened. What you're trying to do is cast a little bit of doubt, if you don't mind me saying, because it helps your corporate position, which is you're making a ton of money out of a racist who is going to be a millionaire out of being a racist because of your platform.
If you think allowing this campaign helps our corporate position, come on, Pierce.
You know what would help you corporately? If you were genuinely true to your mission statement as a Christian site, that you want to protect children, and you were big on that at the start of this interview, I want to protect the kids, then you would remove her site immediately once you had established in your own brain that she'd racially abused a 5-year-old, which, by the way, she admits to doing, right? So you could just do that like that.
Yeah, no, we could do a lot of things, but in the country that we live in, there are certain fabric elements that make this America what it is, and they need to be defended. So
is free
just
speech
because
one
people
of them?
have upset feelings.
Free speech?
Free speech, freedom of expression.
Really? And yet, how odd? Because Mr. Wells, unless I'm mistaken, you have now removed the ability to comment and removed all the comments on this particular donation site, haven't you? Where's the free speech rights of those people who commented? Or are you just a hypocrite?
No, well, recognize what free speech is. Free speech is a prohibition against the government enacting laws to prohibit your speech.
You literally just made a speech talking about freedom of expression and free speech, but you have removed all the comments from here. Why are you suppressing and censoring people's right to free speech to comment on these sites? We have, as a private business, the right to operate our business the way that we want to operate our business. You have the right to suppress free speech. I don't dispute it. I'm just curious why you pretend to be this great defender of free speech when you're literally doing the opposite. No, what we saw very clearly in this situation was a campaign for Carmelo Anthony, and on the back of it, a campaign for Shiloh, and they were competing off of each other. And they were in a cycle of vitriolic tornado of sorts. And we said, we need to put some calming effect on this by removing the back and forth element that's going on in this particular situation. It wouldn't necessarily have happened if these campaigns were completely independent, months, years apart from each other. But as a Christian, because I'm told that the Give, Send, Go site for Luigi Mangione, who we saw allegedly executing a healthcare boss in cold blood. I don't think there's much allegedly about it. But we'll let
I don't see anything about Christianity on it. Spiritual
He's got nearly £1 million for his defence via your site. And, you know, it's sort of odd, isn't it? Is it not an inconsistency in your Christian position on this? That on the one hand, it shows your lack of understanding what Christian faith actually stands for. Let me ask you the question. On the one hand, If you want anything pro-abortion on your site, that's a no-no because you're all pro-life. And yet, on the other hand, you're helping a bunch of alleged murderers raise millions.
I guess the problem is they're alleged, Piers.
Do you not see an inconsistency with your Christian hat on?
Well, it just actually goes to the shallow misconception of Christianity that you have, and I would implore you, Piers, to go after reading the Bible for what it says. That the number one critique of
Thou shalt
Jesus
not kill
by the
is
religious
ringing
leaders,
quite loud in my head.
The number one critique of Jesus by the religious leaders of the day was that he hung around with the prostitutes, the drunkards, and the sinners. He was the guy that went to the lowliest of low places, and he actually shared hope in the midst of the worst places. We find ourselves in a very similar situation, and our goal at Give, Send, Go is to share hope to people in the midst, and part of that is navigating how we do it. We have a prayer team that calls people and prays with them, actually shows them that they're valuable. We have an initiative, like I was mentioning earlier.
All right, but the bottom line, look, Mr. Wells,
like,
I appreciate you coming on, but the bottom line is, the reality
Adam Silver
is that if you racially abuse a kid, you can become a millionaire on your site and you won't stop it happening. And if you kill somebody or allegedly kill somebody, you won't stop that happening either. But with your Christian hat on, if somebody wants to put anything up that's pro-abortion, whoa, not having that, Gov. And if you want to put
I love how Piers keeps saying abortion, but he won't mention the trans stuff because Piers don't like trans stuff either.
Comment under one of these more contentious sites,
well,
your free speech rule immediately collapses.
Listen, I'm sorry, Piers, if you can't recognize that children don't have a voice and they should be protected.
What about the voice of this little 5-year-old black kid? Where was his right not to be racially abused?
He doesn't have a campaign on Give, Send, Go. I would love to see a campaign for him on Give, Send, Go.
Okay.
He doesn't have a campaign on Give, Send, Go. But
you're not protecting a child.
Deeper question of the other campaigns, if you think undermining the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law is a good position to take, well, so be it. That's why we find ourselves in the mess as a society.
That's what I said. He was saying alleged murderer. Luigi's not convicted. Carmelo's not convicted. This lady didn't even commit a crime.
Our country was founded upon for the sake of some type of social
But I don't
outrage,
like how he's talking about protecting children but forcing people to have children. And that could be a way of not protecting them because if the parent doesn't want them, then what?
Is what seems like you're parroting towards us.
Okay, let's just assume that the viewers can make their own minds up about who's parroting
Piers
what here.
still cooked them overall, though. He caught him up. But Piers needs to understand the difference. That lady
Okay, let's
didn't
go back
commit
to
a
the
crime.
panel there. I mean, Ricky, it seemed to me a lot of
I
inconsistencies.
know Ricky Mark was supposed to respond to Myron bullshit.
Not least the donning of the Christian hat when it suits them, but then removing it when it doesn't.
You know, I think it's definitely tough to make the call here and there and where to censor. I err on the side of not censoring as much as possible, but I agree with you that the selectivity of having issues with abortion but not with these campaigns is certainly a problem. But I also want to go back to our point before, too, and make the point that I hate this argument that because some people were tribal, we should be tribal, too. And shouldn't we want to live in a society where we say tribalism is bad in general and negative in general, and so therefore we should be erring towards individualism and not fighting tribalism with more tribalism? I think that's a net negative.
I agree. Myron, your last words on this.
Okay. Because I never got to respond to Myron's other.
The thing with tribalism, it's a natural human instinct. Like, we are literally designed to want to be in communities and want to be a part of a set of community because it ensures our survival. It's been that way since the beginning of time. So the thing is that people are typically going to align with people that share similar features, and that's why we have the tribalism we have going on right now. So the problem is it's not going to go anywhere. I think the problem is that we've had this penting up for literally decades, and this has been a response to it. You have people that are coming out and supporting someone who you guys might deem as a terrible racist, but I think it's also very important to understand how we got here, because if we're going to look at the smaller problem, we can't look at the bigger problem. And it's what I said before, unchecked systemic.
All right, Mark Lamont Hill, your last words on this.
Please get your shit off, bro.
This repeated use of the word, I think, first of all, I want to just register that as offensive, particularly as someone who doesn't identify as a member of that community and who is not, right? I think that's incredibly
I'm the definition of African-American. I'm the definition of African-American.
And troublesome. And to as a Sudanese American or an outsider, who's using African-American, the very technical term, the same way that Elon Musk is an African-American, I think it's a bit dangerous. But the bigger issue here, I think, is that, this idea of equating of one side to the other side often loses track of this issue of power. To use his example, when Black people stand up and say, hey, let's build our own stuff. Hey, let's have a Black power movement. That is not the same as a white power. I'll let you speak uninterrupted. Let me finish, please, my Sudanese brother.
The fuck?
So when a Black person says, hey, let's preserve our culture, I have no problem with Italians or Irish people or anyone else saying let's preserve our culture. But when we don't talk about ethnicity, but actual race, and when white people say let's preserve whiteness, it's an exclusionary practice. It's about preserving laws and practices and tactics that do harm to other people. A Black power movement was about opening stores and building businesses.
Yeah, I kind of get it, because it's like when people, white people, let's get together and blah, blah, blah. What the fuck do they need to build? What do they need to preserve? What do they, like, it is almost as if it's like, what is it that white people don't have? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's white people get together and white power. What are you doing? What are you doing? What don't you have? I agree that there's a level of racism towards white people that's gotten uncomfortably comfortable for people. I don't like it. People are way too comfortable being racist towards white people, and that do need to stop. Other than that, what don't you have that you feel like y'all need to rally together for? Like he said, if Italians people want to get together and like, let's do this, or Asians or whatever, Koreans, they Chinatown, like nobody's mad at any of this shit. It's not just Black people that try to do shit like that. It is because white people have all these things. Like he said, it's almost as if it's like, get other people away from us. It's not like the Korean spots won't, you know what I'm saying? Like white people accept everybody everywhere for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like banks and schools and hospitals and shit like that. So, I don't get it.
White power movement was a white power. That's the giga. A white power movement was about something very, 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 very different. A white power movement included lynchings and included Ku Klux Klan, etc. So let's not pretend
that's
that these
all
are
we know for white
sides
power
of the same coin. When white people say let's save our country, and even using the language of our country, when Black people built this thing.
Yeah, because you don't see Black people saying we gotta save our country. America's not for white people. I don't know why y'all saying this. America isn't a white country. Like it wasn't, and it isn't. That's not how it started. It's just more of them. And even then, when you really want to break it down, it's not just white Americans. You know what I'm saying? You got the Caucasians. Like, no, it's not really yours. So stop it just because it's more of y'all. And y'all break off into different subgroups.
You say that, you're talking about forcing people out of the country. You're talking about laws that discriminate. You're talking about doing harm to people. Let's not pretend these are the same thing. Just like these GoFundMe campaigns are not the same thing. I'm okay if everybody gets out of the GoFundMe industrial complex. I'd love that. But let's not pretend that supporting someone for a fair trial is the same thing as supporting a grown white woman berating and calling the N-word to a 5-year-old autistic Black child. And the fact that everyone in here can't be unanimous in condemning that says exactly how they're not the same.
I totally agree. I'm going to go to Lily Gaddis and just ask you one more time. I mean, you've been so unashamedly proud of being a racist today, proud of using the N-word whenever you feel like it. You've had a bit of time to think about this. Is that how you want people to leave this panel debate, with thinking of you as a disgusting racist?
Yeah.
I don't really care what people think about me. As long as you care about what people think about you, you have no power and you lose your country. What I care about is freedom of speech. And if you're not allowed to say the most offensive things in this country, you do not have freedom of speech. I don't care what anybody says. So that's the main crux of this situation. That's what I care about with this situation. It is, we have lived for far too long in a country where you can have your life destroyed. And people say, oh, she doesn't need this money. Her life's destroyed, by the way. She'll never be able to get another job. She's got children to have to support. And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, Black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly. And you will
well, go
not
on then,
have
say
to,
it.
Yeah.
Say
you
the
will
M-
not have
Go on,
free speech.
go on. Say the M word. Go on.
No.
Hang
Don't
on.
invite. No. I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left.
He just let it fly. He couldn't contain it. He didn't want to do it. He did not want to do it, but he just said this one Uncle Tom. He did not want to do it, but he had to.
There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and asking her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand.
I wonder if that was the gun that said the hard R on it. It looked short though.
Bad intent, Pierce. I understand what you're trying to do,
but
we already know
Mark,
she's a racist, and I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there. Thank you all very much. Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around here is
Mark
me.
just
To enjoy our show.
I ain't expecting to lose his cool like that.
Hit subscribe.
I wonder what that gun. I think that's the gun that say the hard R on it, but the text looked too short. I'm not too sure. The text looked way too short. But yeah, man, that was a good one. That Give Send Go guy just really pissed me off. Like, he really contradicted himself like that. He contradicted himself immediately. We don't like abortions. Like, give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break, bro. I had a Matt Walsh. What time is it? I got a lot of stuff to do, man. I might have to do this off stream. Y'all gotta let me know, man. Is this camera view better than the angle, or should I go back to the angle? Let me know. I know some of y'all came in after I asked originally in this stream. What y'all think? I need to know. I'm telling somebody to hop on this stream because they're pissing me off in this fucking comment section. This is a better angle. It's more convenient for me. It's more convenient, but I don't know if it's aesthetically as good for how it used to be. I know people could be used to something and don't like change. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I want to get y'all opinion. You know what I'm saying? So. This fucking guy in my comments, like y'all. So I'll put it out here. I'll say it right now. It's okay. I'm gonna have a new segment on this channel. I'm gonna call it commentation, where I'm gonna confront commenters. And it's not because it's like I can't handle criticism, because if you look, people criticize me all the time. I'll engage if they're respectful. But there's people that argue with me and they are fucking retarded. And I'm like, you're not finna just be able to be retarded and keep acting like you know what you're talking about in the comment section. And I'm gonna invite you respectfully for a conversation, because you're just saying shit and it's like you sound fucking stupid because you're not making any sense. And then they in the comments anonymous and they think they could get away with it. So I'm confronting the commenters, and I just think that I don't like people thinking they could just be anonymous in comment sections and just do and say whatever and not be confronted about it, or be scared to be confronted about it. Like, some people really be doing the most. And I'm like, okay, well, argue this in person. I want to see if you really know what you're talking about, or maybe we're talking past each other or something like that. But yeah, it's fucking annoying. Because I don't mind engaging with people with good combo. I had a back and forth with somebody earlier today. We had a good back and forth. It wasn't no cussing, insulting, or none of that. But this dumbass keeps trying to. So for those that, whether you saw Sinners or not, the argument is, I'm having this argument with somebody that thinks that because vampires have rules in one movie, if they have different rules in another movie that's unrelated completely, that they're at fault because they didn't follow the rules of something else. And I think that's fucking stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because magic works in one world doesn't mean magic has to work that same way in a whole unrelated other world. I want to go see it twice. I should have took my ass to go see Thunderbolts, but I streamed, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Got to do the work to keep the emotion going. But I want to see Sinners twice, but I actually have to see Thunderbolts. So I don't want to go see Sinners twice, and I didn't even see the Thunderbolts yet. So I got to see that. But yeah, I just invited dude on because I'm just like, he keeps trying to say, what, you can't say that lore existed before movies. It's just like, what? I'm not saying it doesn't, but if he sets rules in his own movie, the rules don't have to be the same. Supposed to see Thunderbolts tonight, bro. Vampires are fiction. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, this isn't real. Vampires are not real. If somebody wanted vampires to be 7 inches tall, they could do that because it's their movie. Like, you don't have to like it. I'm not saying you gotta like it, but don't say vampires can't be 7 inches tall. Well, they're tall in this film. That's how tall they are in this film. If the vampires have fucking teeth made of gold, then that's what they chose to do. You can't put rules on somebody's work of something that's fiction at that. And that's what I'm saying. Like no, I'm not a big vampire. Like, I don't know a bunch of different vampire movies. But even if I did, I don't watch one movie and be like, why didn't they do that in this movie? Because they should have done that in this movie. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it's like, that's not how you judge a movie. And then apparently, like I said, y'all was telling me in the comments, everything that happened in this movie has happened in some other vampire movie, but it's just, they not all just the same. And I bet you he been replying quick, and I bet you he stopped now. I told him, I'm like, I'm streaming right now. Granted, he don't have to have the time right now, but it's like, I put the invitation out because this shit is fucking stupid. So, damn, I can't look at this in a better way.
I don't, dog, but it's just because.
Shit, wrong way. Like, he keeps saying this. Damn, his shit not showing up. That's this shit YouTube be doing. Like, what I'm saying, I kept telling him that this movie, this is Ryan Coogler's own work from his own brain. Like when he did Creed and Fruitvale Station and Black Panther, that's not an original idea from Ryan Coogler. And I'm trying to say that this is Ryan's movie from his own mind. I didn't say he invented vampires. I'm saying like this IP in itself is his own creation. That's what I'm arguing. And he's like, you think he made up vampire? It's so fucking stupid. Like, I'm like, can you comprehend anything? Your comprehension is just lacking. It just makes absolutely no fucking sense, bro. I'm just like, and it's gonna be funny if he just stops replying. I'm not finna read all this if y'all want to look at it on screen, but yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous. And that's why I'm like, y'all not just gonna be stupid in the comment. Never argue with stupid people. They'll drag you down to but that's the thing. When it gets to a point where I'm like, this is getting ridiculous, I'm like, okay, well, let's have a real conversation, and I can see how stupid you really are. You feel me? I definitely, as I'm like, let's have a real fucking conversation. Since you think like you know what you're talking about, maybe we talk past each other, but your comprehension is just lacking. And of course, I'm gonna throw the jabs. But yeah, should I watch this Matt Walsh video, bro? All right, cool. I don't blame you. But the reason I engage with my comments is because I want to hear actual substantive rebuttals to my thoughts, because it either helps me change my mind or strengthens my argument. I think that's important, you know? I think that's important. We're gonna see what Matt Walsh talking about. The man known to have the dumbest takes on the internet. Why this not working?
The N-word to a child in a moment of anger is bad. Is it so bad that it warrants the total and permanent destruction of a person's life?
That's true, Jasmine. If all vampire lore was the exact same, you wouldn't even care about seeing other movies. Ain't that why people love Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter? Like, they're probably not a one-to-one with the world within them. Aborted pipes. What's good, Brody?
To the social media mob, the answer is always yes. By now, you may have heard the name Shiloh Hendricks. Up until last week, no one outside of her friends and personal acquaintances knew she existed. Now she's at the center of one of the more intense social media controversies that we've seen in recent years. And it all began in the late afternoon on April 28th, when the woman we now know as Shiloh Hendricks took her young child to a park in Rochester, Minnesota. And at some point, a black child, reportedly 5 years old, tried to steal something from her diaper bag. Shiloh apparently responded in anger, and as the story goes, she called the boy the N-word. Now, a man named Sharmaki Omar, a Somali immigrant and not the boy's father, allegedly witnessed this altercation and decided to pull out his phone. And the resulting video has gone extremely viral across every major social media platform. Here it is.
You called him a child?
Oh, shit. Oh, Albert, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you, Well, Logic, you're kind of wrong about vampires not existing. Just step outside and look at the mosquitoes. Ah, shit, true. That is a form of vampires. That is true. Appreciate you. Shout out for the $10 super chat, man. But also a whole ass. No, I didn't know you did commentary. I see you got content up. Oh, you still post? Man, what's up? I didn't know you. Yeah, I'm peeping now. You got more subs than me. Girl, you do whole ass comment. What's up? Got content, man? I've been looking for other content creators to collab with. And you do whole ass commentary as I do whole ass commentary. You bogus. Let me hit that sub. What's up, man? I've been looking for people to collab with, man. I see you. You post. You actually be posting. You bogus.
Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him a Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say.
Yeah, she ain't give a fuck.
Nobody digging into your
A little kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a the little child?
She said, yeah.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
And she pointing at
You know,
him.
that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
If that's what he gonna act like.
Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
Now, before we continue with the story, which takes several more twists and turns, we should note a few things. First of all, we don't actually know for sure that the boy is 5 years old. That's coming from the man filming, who is apparently not.
Well, if it was the boy that they pointed at that was on the jungle gym, he's not like 13. You by his stature, like, come on. Regardless, it's somebody that's a child. You don't do that to a child.
Not related to the child. In the video, we appear to get a glimpse of the kid, and from the glimpse anyway, he definitely looks older than 5. Omar has additionally claimed that the boy is autistic, which we also have no proof of. And we have no footage of the actual encounter between the kid and this woman. Did she scream the N-word in his face? Did she mutter it under her breath? Did she say it about the child after he'd already run away? We don't know. And as far as I've seen, we haven't heard anything from the boy's parents. We don't know where they were in all of this, if they were even there, which is very strange. So there are many.
I don't see how any of this matters. She called a child the N-word. Like, it doesn't matter.
Aspects of the story that are bizarre and unconfirmed. And here's another disturbing detail. The Somali man behind the camera, Omar, was charged a couple of years ago with sexually assaulting a minor. And according
does that change what happened? Does that change? And then, to my understanding, those charges got dropped. I'm not saying he did or didn't do it, but he wasn't convicted.
to the local news channel KTTC, those charges were dismissed. A separate report by the local ABC affiliate adds that the charges were dismissed, quote, in the interest of justice, whatever the hell that means. But whatever it means, now Omar, who was previously charged with sexually assaulting a minor, is at a playground with his camera out.
I love how he's doing that to diminish what that woman did as if it makes it okay.
Filming. So make of all of that what you will. So there are quite a few details that still need to be filled in here, but the saga continues anyway. What happened next?
The only way I would entertain that mattering in this whole situation is if all of it was a plot to get them some money. That's the only way. Like, that man knew her. They plotted like, let's fake this scenario and give us some money and we'll be rich. Like, it's a weird approach, but you need extraordinary what is it? What they say? Extraordinary evidence for extraordinary claims. Because I don't see why him being charged with that and it being dropped is relevant to what she did. It's irrelevant. It doesn't change what she did. If he did something wrong, let's go after him too. But it doesn't change what she did if she really did it.
It's quite predictable. The social media mob went to work. They set out to identify this, at the time, anonymous woman and ruin her life, or worse. Here's one of the guys who got things kicked off.
She didn't give a fuck. She didn't.
God help us. She claims that other child took her son's belongings. That's what kicked this off. The guy who recorded the video is familiar with the other child. When he brings his children there, that child and his siblings are often there and play together. The kid she's going after has autism. He doesn't behave in a neurotypical way. And even if he didn't have autism, nothing he could have done would justify
be honest, it's fucked up if it was obvious he had autism. It may not be obvious that he had it, but whether he does or doesn't, it doesn't change anything for her actions.
Calling him slurs and pursuing him physically, which is what she says she was doing before this guy intervened. He said after he stopped recording, she sat down, hurled more slurs, told him and his wife that they should leave the country, and then got on the phone and acted like she was calling someone to come down there and handle things. Fortunately, no one came, and eventually she packed up her child and left. But this woman is a danger to children. She doesn't need to be on a playground or around other kids, and she has at least one child of her own, which is also concerning. So Rochester, Minnesota, someone do me a favor. Take a close look at her tattoos. You can see her face clearly. Someone please tell me who she is.
Okay, so she's a danger to children. She shouldn't be allowed at playgrounds. She shouldn't be allowed at playgrounds, not the guy that was charged with sexually assaulting a minor. But he says, please, internet, find her, and countless others joined in. And in some cases, they were calling for the woman to be imprisoned for saying a bad word.
Yeah, like it's not even unheard of whether they have autism or not. Like, especially like suppose he was playing with the kid and it was like, my mom has Go-Gurts or something, like whatever.
Share. I'm trying to find the woman who called the little boy the N-word, the 5-year-old little boy, artistic boy. She needs to be found and locked up. So please tap in.
Now, there are many other videos of people hoping that she would be found and physically assaulted or killed. Some were even threatening violence against her baby that you can see in the video. Here's one example.
He said, hey, TikTok, I just got a real quick question. So we all know what happened with Shiloh Hendrix and how she got all this money, right? Off all the wrong reasons. But you know what? It is what it is at this point, right? So I'm just sitting here thinking, what about the baby? What about the baby? Because technically that baby is going to grow up and be part of the Triple K. That baby might grow up to be Hitler. That baby is going to grow up and probably be the worst of the worst out there in the world. And you know what? I don't want that baby policing children that look like me. I don't want that baby growing up doing anything else to people that look like me, all because it was taught that. But since, unfortunately, CPS is not going to be able to do nothing, what should we do? I think you guys should let me know in the comments, because part of my thinking was, start a GoFundMe, raise about $1 million, go slap the hell out that baby, make that baby brainless or something for a while. At least you still get to live.
This is fucked up, but I don't think he's serious. This is fucked up. That's fucking. I don't know. He could be serious. I highly doubt this man's serious, though. I highly doubt it.
I mean, it just might be a but hey, that's what happens when you grow up with racist ass parents. You gotta eat their consequences.
Now, I would say that encouraging people to beat a baby unconscious is worse than saying a bad word to a child, a lot worse. Serious. And yet there's no mob forming against that guy or the dozens of other people who hit like on that video. So this is all unfolded as you would expect up to this point, leading to the predictable news that the Rochester Police Department is now actively investigating the woman, and others began calling for CPS to get involved and remove her child from the home. For example, there's a guy who put up on the screen who wrote a letter to CPS, which he published on his website, claiming again that Shiloh's a danger to her own child and that the child should be taken out of the home. And pretty soon, with thousands upon thousands of people whipped into a pitchfork mob, she had been identified by name, but not just her name. Her phone number was posted all over the internet, her address, her social security number, her alleged places of employment. People were calling her phone and making death threats and then bragging about it openly. Again, so far this story is following the script that we all know by heart. A random person is caught on camera doing something rude or offensive. The video is posted by some third party, usually somebody who wasn't even involved in the incident. And then thousands of sociopaths set out to destroy the person's life and possibly get them killed, all for sport, as a form of sadistic entertainment. Nobody stops to think about the consequences. There's no consideration of proportionality. Saying the N-word to a child in a moment of anger is bad. Is it so bad that it warrants the total and permanent destruction of a person's life? Is it so bad that they deserve?
It's so bad that she don't deserve to get rewarded for that shit, motherfucker. She don't deserve to get money for it. What the hell are you talking about?
To have their physical.
And that is pretty fucking bad. You can't, y'all believe in free speech, excuse me, but y'all don't like when people have repercussions for their actions, and that shit is annoying, bro. If motherfuckers want to chastise her for being evil to a child, I think that's fine. This would be kind of different if this was an adult, bro. This is a child she spoke to. That's a different level of evil. Don't y'all believe y'all want to protect kids and kids are innocent and blah, blah, blah? Is it okay because he was going through her bag? Y'all think it's like, well, it was a black, he was black and he was in her bag.
Safety and the safety of their family put in jeopardy? Is it so bad that they deserve to have their child assaulted? Is it that kind of bad? Now to the social media mob. You're
picking the worst of the worst. Most people just don't think she should be rewarded. And she's evil. Like, come on. You just picked the worst of the worst you could find online and it was like, yeah, this is what people think.
The answer is always yes. It's always yes, that is, provided that the offending stranger fits certain parameters. And the most important parameter is that the person, the offender, is white. And we all know how this script ends. The offender, in a desperate attempt to call off the dogs, tearfully apologizes and begs for mercy, a mercy that they surely will not receive. But that is where the M. Night Shyamalan twist ending comes into play. Because Shiloh Hendricks did not apologize. Instead, she posted a crowdfunding campaign on Give, Send, Go, where she doubled down and defended her actions and asked for help to relocate and get her family to safety. And then a double twist. Crazy. A different group formed to counter the outrage mob. They started donating to her campaign. And she surpassed her original funding goal in less than a day. Within 3 days, she had earned over $500,000. Now she's somewhere north of $600,000. So the woman who was supposed to have her life ruined by the mob is instead on her way to potentially becoming a millionaire. Now, this twist, as you can imagine, has outraged the outrage mob even more. But a large number of prominent people on the right are also horrified by this turn of events. Just as one example, Colin Wright tweeted, "The woke right is now mirroring the woke left's tendency to glorify and martyr immoral degenerates solely based on shared racial identity. This woke one-upmanship is a race to the very bottom." Many conservative influencers and commentators, many of them who I like and respect, have echoed this sentiment. They say that, the people donating to this woman are behaving no better than the left. They say that this is the right's version of the Carmelo Anthony fundraiser that also raised $500,000, even though he stabbed somebody to death, which I hope we can agree is far, far worse than saying about.
But what if he was defending himself, Matt? Do you not believe in self-defense? You defended Kyle Rittenhouse, right? He shot 2 people. Killed 1, I believe. Did he shoot 3 or kill 2 or something like that? Whatever. He shot, at least 1 person died, I forgot. But I think he killed 2 and hurt 3 or something. Don't you agree that he defended himself and he had to fight, and we had to figure that out in court? Why isn't Carmelo being afforded that same leniency? Why is he being afforded the opportunity to defend himself? He stabbed somebody to death, which I think is way worse than calling a 5-year-old nigger. Not if he was defending himself, which we have yet to find out. Bro, Matt is probably the worst out of the whole Daily Wire. Between him and Michael, I think Matt is worse than Michael Knowles, though. Michael Knowles isn't as blatantly racist as Matt is.
To this woman are behaving no better than the left. They say that this is the right's version of the Carmelo Anthony fundraiser that also raised $500,000. Oh, yeah, they've been on his ass. A lot of the right people on the right are like, this ain't the fight you want to fight. A lot of people on the right is saying, like, this ain't the one you supposed to, this is not it. It's nothing to defend. There's nothing to defend. If you want to have this conversation about white people being tired of being targeted by racism, which they are to an extent, talk about it. But this ain't the time to talk about it. This is just not. Even though he stabbed somebody to death, which I hope we can agree is far, far worse than saying a bad word.
Don't know what happened.
Some have even speculated that this whole thing is some kind of psyop meant to delegitimize the movement and make conservatives look racist. To that, I must assure them, despite how it may seem, that not everything is a psyop. There are things that really just happen in life. Some things do just happen, and I think this is one of them. Now, I understand that some people on my side feel, to put it scientifically, icky about this whole thing. I understand why they feel icky. I understand why they don't want to condone saying racial slurs to children. I don't want to condone it either, and I don't. And nobody really does. But I think they're missing the point. In the past, most people enjoyed genuine privacy. What changed? Well, the internet. Now, every search, browse, and tweet becomes part of your digital footprint, collected and compiled by data brokers into a permanent public record. Today, everyone is have to connect encrypt devices. You could get VPN or $500,000. Walsh Show. I don't think they understand what's actually happening here or why. It is, in the end, a net positive that this woman has raised $500,000. I'm glad she has. I hope she raises $1 million. I will not be joining with some of my conservative friends in wagging my finger at her donors, and I'll explain why. First of all, she does have a legitimate need for the money. The mob is truly trying to get her killed. I don't believe that a woman should have her life threatened for saying a word, even a bad one. And you can say freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequences for your speech, all you want. But if losing your livelihood and having your house burned down is a consequence of your speech.
Did that happen? Some people are crazy. I don't know why anybody would go after people for shit like that, but I do think that, like, you do need societal scrutiny needs to happen sometimes. That's why you put people in jail. Now, of course, you didn't commit a crime, but I'm saying, like, there's a form of shame that should be put upon people for shit that they do, period. Like, I don't know why we're acting like she should, like, I don't think she should, like, be killed or harmed physically, but yeah.
Then you do not have free speech. Supporting free speech means supporting someone's ability to speak without having their family murdered for it. Okay? I mean, that should be pretty obvious. Second, more importantly, and this is the part that I really need everyone to stop and think about. This is the most devastating attack on cancel culture that we have seen, possibly ever. Shiloh Hendricks has, without really trying, effectively ended cancel culture. As Mark Dice said in his video about the incident, Shiloh is the final boss of cancel culture, or maybe rather the final boss that cancel culture has to fight. And I think that's right. And this is the part that many conservatives seem to be missing. All they see is that this woman said something bad and is now getting rewarded for it. The whole thing is so unsavory that they can't help but recoil. And yeah, it is unsavory. You wish that Shiloh had said or done something that we could affirmatively defend. That would be much easier. Nobody wants to affirmatively defend cussing out a 5-year-old, even though I don't think the kid's actually 5. But none of that is the point. The point is that the only way to put an end to this routine, the routine where the outrage mob mobilizes and assembles to destroy somebody's life, is to disincentivize the routine. And the only way to disincentivize that behavior is to reward the person who's being targeted. Now, we can complain all we want about the mob tactics and how they silence and punish people and exact vengeance in wildly disproportionate ways. We can condemn it. We can write think pieces about it. We can deliver monologues. None of that matters. None of that will stop them. The only thing that can stop them, the only thing that will make them think twice about doing this again, is if they know that instead of getting their target canceled, they might accidentally make them rich. And more important, even than the money, they must know that their attempt to isolate and ostracize somebody will fail. That for every person condemning the targeted person, 2 more will rally to their defense. The motto of the cancel mob for a long time has always been, make this person famous. And a lot of them were saying that about Shiloh. Let's make her famous. Now, the assumption is that the fame will have an exclusively negative effect on the person's life. Making them famous means making them unsafe, making them bankrupt, making them persona non grata. With this case, that assumption has been flipped on its head. Because now the mob knows that making them famous might help them more than hurt them. Rather than the fame being punished.
So is he saying that they should just be like, well, another racist, another day, and just like keep it moving? First of all, he's acting like he's saying something profound, but all you're doing is exposing how racist America is. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not saying the woman should be attacked physically or her house should be burned down. She has a place to live. If her job wants to deal with her the way they deal with her, then so be it. That's just what it is. Whatever happens is on her own doing, because she didn't even give a fuck once the camera came out. She didn't even care at that point. So that's who she wants to be. Nobody should attack her or her family or her child. With that being said, why is she being rewarded? Why can't y'all speak out and say, like, this isn't okay, but people don't go after her family, don't go after her home? Why can't you do that? Why is she being rewarded? Why are you calling out? You're on here trying to act like, well, she's gonna get famous and now she's making money. Like, you think that's cool? You think that's normal?
It's rewarded. That's the only way to stop this. The making them famous tactic now has a powerful disincentive attached. Think of it this way. Justine Sacco is widely considered the patient zero of cancel culture. Back in 2013, she was on a flight to Africa when she tweeted jokingly that she hopes she doesn't get AIDS when she gets to Africa. And when she landed hours later, you're probably familiar with the story, she discovered that her tweet had gone viral across the country. The mob had made her famous, and she lost her job. She was cast out of polite society. Her life as she knew it was over. And our culture, as we knew it, had also been changed irrevocably. Now, I wish that somebody had started a crowdfunding campaign for her all the way back in 2013. I wish that while half the internet was trying to wreck her life over a dumb joke, the other half had made her rich. I wish people had donated $500,000. I wish they donated $1 million. I wish they donated $50 million. And that's not because I think an AIDS joke is worth $50 million. It wasn't that good of a joke. It's not because I think that Justine Sacco is some great hero. It's because that would have destroyed cancel culture in its infancy. The entire incentive structure around this online left-wing version of mob justice would have been broken right at the start. If they made her famous...
Star Fox, I do think Matt has gotten to the point where he says he has the worst takes just for attention. Because Matt, like, it seems like he like rattles his brain to figure out how to have the worst takes possible. Like when he got on here and shitted on Sonic and shit, Sonic 3, it was like, bro, you doing the most. Why are you even reviewing movies, especially movies that's not even for you, bro?
And she profited from the fame rather than being ruined by it. Then the make her famous tactic would have died right there, and that would have been the end of it. But it didn't die there. Instead, the mob was emboldened. Mob justice worked out really well for the mob nearly every time for the next decade and a half. Now that's finally changed. And you don't have to like Shiloh or agree with her choice of words to see that. Speaking of her choice of words, there is another point that I think has to be made here. The mob that tried unsuccessfully to cancel Shiloh Hendricks was far, far more outraged over Shiloh saying the N-word than they were over Carmelo Anthony stabbing somebody to death. Indeed,
will you stop with this stupid-ass comparison, you dumb bitch? Like, why do they keep doing this? Carmelo needs a chance to defend himself because it might be a self-defense case or whatever the fuck the situation is. Even if it is murder, he still has the right to defend himself. You're saying he's guilty before he's ever been convicted of anything.
Many of them actively supported Carmelo Anthony murdering Austin Metcalf.
Why are you saying it's murder when we don't know that? I know that you did not have this take when Kyle Rittenhouse shot them people. I know you didn't. So be consistent. Kyle Rittenhouse to me was an open shut case of self-defense. Carmelo, it ain't clear, but you're not gonna just sit here and say he murdered somebody and you don't know what happened. You have no idea.
They rewarded him financially for it. And this is all part of...
To fucking have defense. This woman ain't in legal trouble. She's just mad that her words have consequences, I mean.
Of the preposterous racial double standard that has defined American culture for generations now. It is a double standard that declares it a greater crime for a white person to say a word than for a black person to kill a white person. In fact, killing a white person could even be a just punishment for saying that word, according to these standards.
Right, aborted pipes. I don't know if you heard, but I said I'm like, if Carmelo didn't happen, I think it wouldn't be as much money being raised. But he definitely has made it way worse. But I think the racist definitely was gonna pop out and show niggas once this happened, regardless of Carmelo. But I think it's even worse because of that situation. They think that it's about black and white versus the boy gets a defense of he might have a self-defense case. We don't know.
The rules surrounding this word, the moral weight granted to it, the arbitrary guidelines drawn around it, it's all nonsense. It's all indefensible on both moral and intellectual grounds. People are fed up with it. That's what you're seeing in this story. People are just fed up with it. Now, that child, if he's...
I'll never be fed up to support, like, somebody that's obviously wrong. Like, especially when we're talking about a child. Like, what does this child have anything to do with this?
Like the average black child in this country did not hear the N-word for the first time from a white woman at the park last week.
Wow.
Okay?
Now you're just making up shit.
No doubt heard it thousands of times. He likely hears it every day. He probably hears it in his own home. Are we supposed to believe that he's heard the word 1,000 times, but it's time 1,001 that really traumatized him? I mean, the idea that the word is a common greeting for one race, but unspeakably evil if uttered by a different race, is laughably ridiculous. The idea that one race can say the word 10,000 times a day, and the other race cannot speak the syllables under any circumstance, even if they're just repeating what someone else said or singing along to a rap song, that idea, again, is totally indefensible, which is why no one has ever tried to defend it. Instead, it's just yet another,
So he knows nothing about this child or their background, but just assuming that he listens to rap and heard the N-word. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? What the fuck are we talking about? Yeah, and the Carmelo, well, it got turned into race, but you're right, it shouldn't be about race.
Racial day, and it is laughably ridiculous. The idea that one race can say the word 10,000 times a day, and the other race cannot speak the syllables under any circumstance, even if they're just repeating what someone else said or singing along to a rap song, That idea, again, is totally indefensible, which is why no one has ever tried to defend it. Instead, it's just yet another.
I don't agree that they can't say it when they rap song. I don't give a fuck if white people say it when they rapping a song. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all kill me if you want to. I don't care. That don't bother me. But again, he's lying about what it really is. There's some people like they can't utter the word at all. But even then, have that conversation. But this ain't the time to have it, bro.
Racial rule of the road that we're supposed to follow without ever asking any questions about it or expecting anyone to explain it or justify it. People are sick of that. It's just that simple. They are sick of it. Now, it is simple. If it's wrong to say the word, then it's wrong for anyone to say it. If black people want white people to not say the word, then they need to not say it. If you say it, everyone else can say it. Point blank, it's that simple. That's how life works. Deal with it. No, you can't do that. You can't say, well, no, we can do this thing, but you can't. Doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. Well, it did work that way for a long time. It was indefensible. And
even if you wanted to argue that, you're not arguing that she can use it in a way, nigga, say it. Like, you're not arguing that she can use it in the context of, the way we use it is a form of not bonding. I don't want to say that word, but you know what I'm saying? It's a term of endearment to some people. That's not what she did. So why are you even saying this?
Just not going to work that way anymore. Sorry. And no matter who is saying it, it's not any worse than any other slur or vulgarity. It's not special.
Say it, man. Like y'all say, hey, that's true.
Well, the word is not magical. It's not some kind of mystical curse. It's not some kind of dark incantation that conjures evil spirits from the netherworld. It's just a word. It's a vulgar word. It's a rude word. It's a word that I believe polite people shouldn't say for the same reason they shouldn't use any other vulgarity. I'm using N-word right now instead of saying the actual word for the same reason that I would say F-word or C-word.
Shut the fuck up. You a whole liar. No, don't use that as a shield. You wouldn't say that shit if you cussed. You would not say that shit. You a goddamn lie.
Those actual words, those are vulgar words, but that's all. The reflexive, indefensible, capricious, vacillating racial.
You see how he threw that out there, and the people in the comments is all talking about no one explain why a 40-year-old childless sex offender. Well, he was not convicted. He wasn't found to be a sex offender. He was accused of something, and it was dropped. But so they're off topic because of that now, because they think that's the problem.
Double standards are over. People are fed up with them.
See,
they are fed up with the game, and they don't want to play it anymore. And that's all that this word has become. That's all that our quote-unquote race relations have become.
I don't even like harping on racial shit, but it's so in your face in 2025 now. It's crazy. Like, I don't even like racial topics. Like, it's sometimes it's just overdone. But like when it's just in your face, people is being blatantly racist and don't give a fuck. It's different.
A game with arbitrary rules and incredibly excessive punishments for anyone who breaks them. It's like the societal equivalent of a child, trying to walk on the sidewalk without stepping on a crack. Eventually the kid gets bored with it, starts walking normally again, because it turns out that if you step on a crack, you're not really going to break your mother's back. The rules are fake. And eventually people get tired of following them. Telling white people, and white people only, that they can't combine two specific syllables under any circumstance, it's like telling them they can't touch their head unless someone says Simon Says. Okay? They're not going to play the game forever. White guilt is the fuel that keeps all this going. White guilt is what convinces white people to follow arbitrary rules that make no sense, to tolerate, even defend a system that's rigged against them with blatant double standards. It's what's compelled white people to acquiesce to a culture that says that, every race can and should defend and root for their own, but white people, and white people only, should not be conscious of their race at all. None of it is fair or morally coherent. And the Carmelo Anthony case, where a black teen raked in $500,000 as a reward for stabbing a...
Bro, it's like you have this huge platform and known as a political pundit, and the lying on the right is just, it rattles my mind. This level of dishonesty that's so accepted. I'm speechless. Like, a teen that stabbed and murdered. You don't know what happened. What is wrong with not having a take? And right, he's calling it a reward. This woman's literally being rewarded for being racist. Carmelo is getting help because he needs a legal defense, because he might have a self-defense case on his hands. So let's not act like this is the same thing. Right. She can make money to basically improve her quality of life, but he can't raise money just to have a life. What the fuck?
White kid to death was, for a lot of people, the final straw.
That's the thing. That's why I hate when people bring race into shit. Nobody looked at this situation as a self-defense case. They always like, oh my God, a black boy stabbed a white boy, all race. And it's like, fuck, like, y'all, this is a self-defense case. Kyle Rittenhouse, black people thought that Kyle Rittenhouse shot black people and shit because they just was so quick to, oh, a white person shot somebody and he's getting off free. What's happening? No, he didn't shoot nobody black. It was a self-defense case. That's what it should have. That's what the conversation needed to be about. It come to find out nobody was black in the situation. Then they just didn't care. No, this is why people on the left and black people should have stood behind Kyle Rittenhouse because he was fucking like stood behind him as far as he had a self-defense case. People don't like him because he ran to the right, but the right accepted him because he had a self-defense case that was strong. Now, Carmelo, since people jumped on that and still hold Kyle Rittenhouse to this fucking, they say he murdered people and he didn't. Now they're like, the black guy killed a white guy. He's the white guy's the victim. It's like, bro, y'all don't know what happened. This wasn't on tape. Kyle Rittenhouse, damn near the whole situation was on tape. But yeah, y'all just swear that Austin is the victim necessarily. And it's damn near because he's white, y'all feel that way.
Final straw of many, many straws. It is no surprise that the Shiloh Hendricks case comes on the heels of that. You know, a lot of people
if white people had a word, I wouldn't even give a fuck. Like, everybody gets, if y'all can say it, why we can't say it? Only way I would say it is if I'm trying to be racist. Like, what the hell? That did not bother me. Hispanic didn't take the word back for themselves. I don't think they used their words amongst each other. If they did, I wouldn't be like, I want to use it too. Like, what the hell are we talking about?
Fretting that this is the beginning of some kind of race war. But I don't think it's a race war, and it's certainly not the beginning. I mean, there's been a war waged on whiteness for a long time in this country. So this cannot be the beginning of anything. But it may be the end of something. The end of racial double standards. The end of cancel culture. This is an ugly story in a lot of ways. But if history has shown us anything, it's that ugly things die ugly deaths. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.
Damn, bro. He really thought he cooked, too. Man. Yeah, Matt is a fucking idiot, bro. Like, he's aggressively stupid. I just don't get. I don't know where we got to the point where people actually like voluntarily let themselves get lied to and just don't give a fuck about it. Like, this is so weird to me. It's so fucking weird. Like, this level of dishonesty, but then you see them in the comments, they all like, yeah, I don't want to hear nothing. Y'all supported Carmelo. We're supporting the fact that moral acting people are supporting the fact that he needs a defense, that he deserves a defense. Do they feel like it's because he's black? Yeah, there's people that's in there because he's black. But there's people that's in there that feel like he deserves a defense because we don't know what happened. This isn't clear cut. Stop pretending as it is. There's no video. When it was video of Kyle Rittenhouse, people should have stopped with the narrative about it being a white boy trying to get away with murder. That's not what happened. That man was defending himself. Like, my hope is that people are more objective about things like that, because there's no reason, because then you get people like this where Matt could try to lie about the reason that people are supporting Carmelo because people raged out about Kyle Rittenhouse. You know what I'm saying? I do feel like if that turned out differently, they would have less of a leg to stand on. But people go back to that. But and we don't even know the outcome of Carmelo, so if he is found guilty of murder, that's going to be, I think shit is going to go way worse. And if he's not, I want to see people like him have to go back on what they say. Because when the justice system works for them in their favor, they don't have a problem. When Derek Chauvin gets convicted, oh, he didn't have a fair trial. I understand why Zimmerman got off, but I really disagree with it. But when you talk about reasonable doubt, You know what I'm saying? And I get why Zimmerman got off, even though I disagree, which is why I said that at that point, my issue then turns into let's revisit this law, because in my opinion, that shouldn't have happened that way. You know what I'm saying? It's fucked up out here. I didn't think race relations would get to this point, man. I thought we was past a lot of this shit. Like, this shit's scary. It's scary now. It's scary. I'm gonna have to talk about Ish and this flat earth shit. Ish and Mark Lamont. Man. But we're gonna call it today, man. It's a short stream. I just had to jump in and see what Piers was talking about with Myron, because that shit crazy. But yeah, man, I appreciate anybody that made it to this point in the stream, man. Also, I'm going to start letting everybody know. I'm trying to make it to 5K subs. So share the videos with people that y'all think will be interested. Share the stream when I'm streaming with people you think that'll be interested. I'm sure if y'all interested in my content, y'all probably got friends, associates, colleagues that might be interested in my content too. I'm gonna try to push for 5,000 streams by 5,000 subs by the beginning of July. I want to get 5,000 subs by the beginning of July. And that's going to be the goal. I'm going to try to mention it in all my videos from this point on. So, yeah, share the vids, man. Share the stream. Like, comment, sub, all that. You know, thank you, TJ. Yeah. So that's going to be the goal. And I think when I get to 5,000, I'm going to do a 24-hour stream. I don't know why I'm saying that or trying to put that out there, but I'm going to hold myself accountable. I want to do it. When I get to 5,000, I'm going to do a 24-hour stream where cover nonsense. We could laugh. We're going to bring people on, bring other content creators on, have conversations, play video games, all that shit. We're going to try to make that happen, man. But yeah, if you made it to this point in the stream, man, make sure you leave a like, comment, sub. If not one, then all three. And I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Peace.